has just been, not good.
I'm so upset. Oh my God.
The guy!
Turks, you crazy? We're gonna have an amazing show. Jake Ugranik is paired with you guys, where we make the disastrous and depressing news fun and exciting. Woo, zingers.
I don't think we do that.
I think we kind of do. So Iran about to be attacked. Well, maybe they say we're in negotiations. We'll find out. We have a lot more on the Epstein files. Now Peter Thiel comes into the picture in kind of a disastrous way. I know, shocking. We have so much for you guys, including the potential collapse of American economy. Let's hope we get to that story so you guys find out what in the world is going on. All right, Casper.
We begin with war with Iran.
A meaningful negotiation should be based on trust. And unfortunately, we have lost our trust to the United States as a negotiating partner. It is obvious to us that there are certain elements, certain parties who want to drag President Trump into this war for their own benefits.
That was the foreign minister of Iran, and the other elements he's referring to in regard to dragging Trump into war with Iran is Israel. So let's just call a spade a spade. Unfortunately, the US military has now shot down 2 Iranian drones in the Arabian Sea. This happened this afternoon. US Central Command spokesperson Tim Hawkins said that a US fighter jet from the USS Abraham Lincoln shot down the Iranian drone in self-defense and to protect the aircraft carrier and personnel on board. Now, remember, there's a huge military buildup, US military buildup off the coast of, or very close to Iran in that region, intentionally to threaten Iran. And Iran had sent some surveillance drones toward the USS Abraham Lincoln, which have now been shot down by the US.
Yeah, so we're gonna explain to you why Iran is so skeptical about us in our negotiations in a second. And there's things in this story that make me worry that Iran's capabilities are better than I suspected.
Why would you be worried about that?
Well, because of how it might affect America. I could care less what it does to
play
Israel.
stupid games, win stupid prizes.
Yeah, well, yes, but this is our country. So if Israel wants to start that war and Iran does whatever they'd want to do to Israel, that's their business, and I couldn't care less. If you want me to care, that's a weird ask. Oh, I started a war and I tried to murder all of them, but you have to care about me. No deal at all. Now, who am I referring to? Obviously the Israelis. So you're gonna also see in this story, the mask off. The Israelis like, yeah, it's us. The protesters are gone, we never cared about them. Shut up and do this war for us, America. And you're gonna see proof of that here.
All right, so let's get you the details. According to Reuters, the Iranian shared 139 drone was flying toward the USS Abraham Lincoln carrier and was shot down by an F-35 US fighter jet about 500 miles off the coast of Iran. Now, the strike took place against the backdrop of the possible nuclear negotiations that the United States possibly will engage in with Iran this coming Friday. Now, I say possibly because things are very shaky, very tentative right now because of the fact that there is a lack of trust. I think it's obvious at this point. So Trump was on the cusp of launching strikes against Iran just 3 weeks ago, but held off after Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel, let him know that, well, Israel isn't militarily prepared to withstand an attack from Iran should we begin a war at this very moment. So Trump luckily backed off. I don't like the fact that he's allowing the leader of a foreign country to dictate US foreign policy, but alas, we live in the United States, which is occupied and governed by the Israelis, so this is what we're dealing with. Now, talks are supposed to take place in Istanbul, Turkey this coming Friday. However, the Iranians want to move the talks from Istanbul to Oman. Unclear if that destroys the chances of these negotiations taking place on Friday. In other words, there's really, considering the people involved in the negotiating, I don't have a lot of optimism here, right? We're talking about various figures who are not really interested in peace and do Israel's bidding. We're talking about Jared Kushner, who's going to be there for the negotiations. Steve Witkoff, who in the very beginning of Trump's second term, I had a little bit of hope for. No longer, I have no hope for Witkoff. These people are warmongers. These people are not interested in, forging actual peace negotiations. They're there on behalf of themselves and the Israelis. Senior representatives from Turkey, Qatar, and Egypt are also expected to attend these negotiations in Istanbul, Turkey, if they proceed. Now, again, here's why I say that. On Tuesday, Witkoff landed in Israel for talks about Iran with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the head of Israel's Mossad spy agency, David Barnea, as well as other security chiefs, and that's according to 2 Israeli officials. And Iran's president has basically instructed the foreign minister of Iran to only meet with US officials provided that a suitable environment from threats and unreasonable expectations do not exist, right? So Trump claims he's serious about pursuing peace, but he said he was serious about pursuing peace prior to bombing Iran's nuclear facilities. And so as a result of that, Iran's foreign minister told CNN this past weekend that, there are some trust issues here. Let's take a quick look at that.
A meaningful negotiation should be based on trust. And unfortunately, we have lost our trust to the United States as a negotiating partner. And the reason is obvious. We negotiated in 2015. Everybody celebrated that when we concluded the deal, JCPOA, and the US withdrew with no justification. That belongs to 10 years ago. Let's talk about last year, only 10 months ago, when in June we decided to negotiate with the United States. And we were negotiating when they had decided to attack us. It first is Israel and then the US joined. So we don't have any good experience, any positive experience of talking with Americans. And in order to have a meaningful negotiation, we need to overcome this mistrust.
While he cites, I think, legitimate reasons for not trusting the Trump administration in wanting to engage in peace negotiations or nuclear negotiations, it's funny because you'll hear from Caroline Leavitt, White House press secretary, who claims that, really the individuals who shouldn't be trusted are the Iranians. Let's just take a look at that video and I'll go to you, Cenk.
President Trump is always wanting to pursue diplomacy first, but obviously it takes 2 to tango. You need a willing partner to achieve diplomacy, and that's something that Special Envoy Witkoff is intent on exploring and discussing. As always, though, of course, the president has a range of options on the table with respect to Iran as commander-in-chief. I think they learned that quite well last year with the strike in Operation Midnight Hammer, which was wildly successful and obliterated their nuclear capabilities.
So why are we even having a conversation about bombing Iran? If their nuclear facilities have been obliterated, what are we having a conversation about right now?
Yeah.
Like, what is this?
So it goes to the exact point here. So I think we're almost definitely going to go to war. I'll explain that throughout the video. But so first as to why the negotiations are not going to work. So look, now a lot of you realize, whether you're on the left, right, or anywhere else, that the government lies nonstop, right? So when we were growing up, we were told these fairy tales from establishment media. Oh yeah, the government tells you the truth. Anything that isn't the government is a conspiracy theory. Nonsense. So in this particular case, the facts are that as we were in the middle of the last negotiations, as the Iranian brother said there, we bombed them. And in fact, on top of that, and you guys saw this with your own eyes, so you don't have to trust the Iranians, right? I trust no government, right? Trump then came out and said, I tricked them. They're so stupid. They thought we were doing peace negotiations. And then boom, I bombed them. I'm so smart. Well, who's gonna do negotiations with that guy after that? But that's actually the tip of the iceberg, because the Israelis murder peace negotiators on the regular. So they tried to, in the midst of that so-called peace negotiations, the Israelis tried to murder the top Iranian negotiator. Now there's reports that he had been killed, that was later withdrawn. Turns out he's alive, but they tried to murder him. They tried to murder the top Hamas negotiators in Qatar. That caused a huge problem because Israel doesn't want peace, which then gets back to, wait a minute, Caroline Levitt, you're right, Anna said it too, we knocked out their nukes, so what's the problem? Well, that goes to the very, very core of the issue, because Israel wants regime change. They want to put a dictator, they call him the Shah, back in charge of Iran, and his job is to be a cuck for Israel and make sure the Iranians do nothing to help Palestinians or anyone else, and that they are loyal servants of Israel. So now you say, wait, Jake, are you sure about that? Well, they said it was about the nukes. They always say it's about weapons of mass destruction. And it turns out we knocked them out, so that's not it at all. Then the Israelis went to, well, we have to knock out all of their missiles. But wait a minute, every country has ballistic missiles? Or nearly every country does, certainly major countries. And how do we know when we knocked out all their missiles? Oh, another purposely impossible standard, like all of Hamas has to surrender and they all have to turn their weapons in. Well, how do we know who all of Hamas is and how many weapons they have? That's right, you don't know. Permanent war. Plus, Israel tried to murder all their negotiators, both Iran and Hamas. So, and then finally, Anna, this is the critical part, our demands. Our demands are preposterous. Now we moved it from get rid of your nuclear program to get rid of all of your missiles, and we want you to do everything Israel wants. That's not a thing. That's not. So that's why Iran, as Anna's about to tell you, has become a lot more aggressive, and it's making me worried that they know something we don't know about their capabilities.
Well, in that CNN interview, the foreign minister said something really interesting. He said that they found their weaknesses and their flaws during the 12-day war. And as a result of that, they were able to bolster their military capabilities. Now, he could be bluffing, I have no idea.
I don't think he is, and I'll tell you why.
Okay, hold on. I hope he's not. I hope he's not. Okay, listen, here's the thing. I am so sick of Israel getting away with dragging us into wars that we should not be fighting. And Israel knows. We go in and attack Iran. Iran has threatened Israel. And Israel's Iron Dome and all those defense capabilities that they have, most of which are paid for by us, the US taxpayers.
All of it is.
Right? Apparently it's not strong enough to withstand all of Iran's attacks, as we learned during the 12-day war. Right? Israel is fully dependent on the United States for its military capabilities. So I just think if at some point they have to learn lessons. They can't keep starting wars thinking that there's never gonna be any punishment for them, any consequences for them.
And that's why they keep killing and attacking all of their neighbors, because they think, who cares? It's just worthless Muslim lives. None of the precious, precious Israeli lives have been lost.
Let me be very clear with you, Cenk. I want to be very clear with you, and I want everyone else in the audience to understand. If that region was 100% Christian, okay, we would be hearing about radical Christian extremists day in and day out in this country. I guarantee it. We would hear fear-mongering about Christians in this country. I guarantee it. This is not about ideology. This is not about religion. This is about empire. This is about Israel wanting to expand expand its empire into Lebanon, into obviously the West Bank and Gaza. And the only challenge to that empire building that Israel has been engaging in has been Iran. Yes, Iran does fund its proxies, right? Whether it's Hezbollah or, Hezbollah mainly. The Houthis is another example. When does Hezbollah or the Houthis get involved in pushing back against Israel? When Israel's trying to expand, when Israel is trying to annex land in countries that they don't belong in, like Lebanon, for instance, right? And they don't want that. They don't want any challenge to their empire building. That's what this is really about.
Yeah, so just again, overwhelming proof. American media lies to you en masse and pretends it's about self-defense. Israel took 53% of Gaza. Did they or did they not? They did, you could look it up. Are they ever gonna give it back? No, Kushner's planning to build condos on it right now, on the graves of Palestinian children. Why did Kushner go to Iran? He probably wanted to see, where can I build condos after we murder your children on behalf of Israel? Okay, so now, let's talk about why Israel's a little worried and Iran seems to be aggressive. Iran had brought a drone close to one of our ships. We shot it down, and they've done a couple of aggressive actions now, which they had not done before, which leads me to think, they're saying, what are you gonna do? You gonna hit us? Go ahead, hit us, we're ready now, okay? So I'm very surprised by that. And now, in terms of the weaknesses, before I thought maybe Iran was huffing and puffing. You might remember me saying, I don't know what capabilities they have, right? But it's obvious based on the Israeli reaction that I'm reading that Iran has found weaknesses in Iron Dome. So Israel's like telling America, you gotta kill him, you gotta kill him, and you better get to our defense and surround us with defense. So, but by the way, not don't attack them, it might also kill some of our civilians. War is not a good idea. No, they always demand war and compliance and obedience. And so they are demanding we obey them and we defend them and. No, brother, you start a war, that's your goddamn business, not mine. Hey, here's how you can avoid it right now if you're in Israel and you're worried, does the world hate us? Okay, yes, they do because of your actions. Because of your actions, not because of who you are. If you want to avoid pain and conflict, here's a simple idea. Don't start this war. So, but Anna's about to tell you all the propaganda and all the pressure. America, you better do what Israel says. You think it's hyperbole? Listen to the quotes.
All right, so listen, I don't trust Barak Ravid's reporting in Axios at all. I think that he is a operative of the Israelis. And the reason why I say that is because there is no daylight between Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. There just isn't. And we keep seeing reporting from him over and over again about like, there's significant disagreement between the United States and Israel. So keep that in mind as I tell you about Axios's latest reporting, because they're claiming, nah, Trump's not feeling it. I mean, 3 weeks ago, he was ready to strike and was talked out of it by the Israelis. But now suddenly Trump is not really buying the argument that we should strike Iran. So let me give you the details here. So apparently there was a US official, unidentified, anonymous source who spoke to Axios and said, it's really the Israelis who want to strike. The president is just not there. I don't believe it. But it continues. Back in June, the president had believed Iran's nuclear activities posed a legitimate imminent threat, the official said. He does not feel that way here. Okay, so what was different 3 weeks ago? What was different 3 weeks ago? Are we really gonna buy that Trump was worried about Iranian protesters 3 weeks ago? Because our protesters are getting gunned down here in the United States. He doesn't give a damn about protesters here in the US or anywhere else.
This is exactly what Barak Ravid reported before we bombed Iran last time.
That's right.
Oh, don't worry, Trump is not listening to the Israelis. He must have been laughing his ass off. He's like, all right, I'm former IDF soldier. Did I do good, Israel? Did I do good? Did I trick the Iranians by pretending to be news in America? Yeah, Barak, I've lost all faith in you. All you do is report Israeli crap and purposely purposely to mislead the American people. You don't do news, you do propaganda. What's next?
So 3 of Trump's advisors also told Axios they think launching a military operation now wouldn't be the right way to go. One of them said that skepticism holds for many in Trump's close orbit. I don't believe that either. I think everyone surrounding Donald Trump, including JD Vance, love war, salivate over war, and just want the cookies that non-interventionists would get from American voters. Pay close attention to JD Vance, especially as people try to launder his reputation and make it seem as though a creation, someone who's manufactured by Peter Thiel of all people, is anti-war. Not buying it at all. Mark Levin, of course, applying pressure, but get a load of his latest post on X. He says, how about this time we listen to Bibi rather than dictate to him? Bitch, he takes our money. How about he shut the F up and listen to us, the American people?
For once in his life.
Yeah. Of course, he's right. The Iranian Nazi Islamist mass murdering genocidal regime cannot be trusted to keep its word. What about Israel? What about the mass slaughter that Israel just carried out? You want to talk about a genocidal regime? Come on, Mark.
Okay, but like that.
Go leave the country, please. Go live in Israel. Go do like Jonathan Pollard. You don't love the United States. Get out of here.
Don't worry, Sheldon Adelson will provide you a private jet just like he did for Jonathan Pollard. By the way, in the Epstein files, we find out, we'll talk more about it a little bit later in the show, that John Bolton just worked for Sheldon Adelson while he was in the White House. Reported to him, did whatever he asked him to do, and Sheldon Adelson, guess what he wanted? War on behalf of Israel. Of course. Yet all of our media, what a bunch of pathetic losers, sitting around going, I don't know what's happening. Is there any outside control of our government? Is it the Russians? Is it the Chinese? You pathetic losers pretending to be journalists. Okay, now to Mark Levin. Wait, I said Israel would push, the Israeli first guys would push, you better go to war, right? And so Mark Levin, as usual, is doing it. But listen, did you see what he said? We shouldn't question the Israeli leader. We need to do exactly as Bibi orders us to do. You think that guy's an American? He doesn't care about America at all. He actively, literally says, you must follow Israeli orders. Obviously, he cares about Israel and not America. He says it himself. It's super obvious. So F Israel first. All they want to do is damage to America, and then they're gonna leave us and go to another host country like India and go, oh, we have a Hindu, Judeo heritage, hate the Muslims.
Great, leave us alone, that's all I care about.
Get away from us, man.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
All right, so I'm done with the story, but we don't have enough time, we gotta move on. So we're gonna take a break. When
Israel starts the war and gets our guys killed,
they will.
You should know who did this to you. And the people who did this to you are the Israelis. And there's no ands, ifs, or buts. The Norwegians and the Bolivians aren't driving us into this war. They're not gonna get our troops killed. They're not gonna spend trillions of our money. It's the Israelis, and the entire United States media has been lying to you in mass to protect their beloved Israel. All right, report one thing from the Epstein files about Israel. Otherwise, God, you mask off, totally off. New York Times, ABC, every one of them works for Israel. All right, go ahead, Anna.
All right, we'll be right back.
Back on TYT, Art Guy writes, and don't forget Chinese transport planes were sent to Iran in large numbers a few weeks ago. $10 says they've given Iran a whole bunch of hypersonic missiles. That is entirely possible, and they have every right to do that. Iran has every right to defend themselves. And I tell you all this because later Israel will cry and cry, oh, we're the victims. We started our 28th war in a row, and we lost one precious Israeli. Give us another $1 trillion. You owe us. Okay, no, we don't owe you crap. Please leave our country, please leave, okay? Don Dada Dragon says, I wouldn't trust a government that defends child rape and cannibalism. By the way, that is not the Israeli government, that is the US government. They've been protecting Epstein and his friends, doing God knows what. Jesus, what's in those files, okay? Winter Scoop says Israel knows exactly how many weapons Hamas has. Israel gave all the weapons to them. They did. This is a joke, man. This whole thing's a joke. The whole thing is engineered by Israel, Hamas, ISIS, everything else to create a little bit of conflict. And they don't mind getting their own people killed. The current people who run the Israeli government are monsters. They're some of the most evil men I have ever seen in my lifetime. And don't tell me, oh yeah, what about the Muslims? No, Israel attacks the Muslims. Israel's core evil. They have occupied 5.5 million Palestinians for 58 brutal, disgusting years. And as they put their boot on the necks of the Palestinians, the entire time they've been crying, anti-Semitism, just because we're slaughtering them and oppressing them. You shouldn't say it, you anti-Semites, cancel everyone in America. No one's getting canceled anymore. Israel can go kiss our American ass, okay? Get out of our country. I'm not, for the billionth time, never talking about Jewish Americans. They're Americans, they're us. I'm talking about Israel first, who are like, Israel. You have to do everything Israel says. You have to owe them another $300 billion. Yeah, no, get the hell out. Mark Levin, Sheldon's dead. Miriam, collect everyone that's Israel first. Fly them out in your goddamn private jets to Macau or Tel Aviv or wherever the hell you want. We're not interested in your stupid wars. You're gonna see later today, another 3.3 billion, another robbery. Non-stop robbery, it's a robbery. Israel is robbing us every single day. They realize that the game is almost up. So every day, like, give me another one, give me more, give me 8.6, give me 3.3, give me 6.5. These are all in the billions, And our politicians go, oh, you like to rob them? Hey, this is the politicians, okay? Hey, give me $5, give me $10. I'm a cheap little whore. That's Ted Cruz, that's Lindsey Graham. All those Fetterman, those bitches on their knees groveling to Netanyahu. Oh, give me $5, $10. I'll sell out to American people. And American media, oh no, our politicians are honorable. None of them work for Israel. None of them work for any of the donors that have given them billions of dollars. Do you know how stupid you have to be? Do you know how brain dead every journalist in the New York Times is? They're like, the money's affecting the politicians? No, that's conspiratorial. You have to be the R word to believe that. Like literally the dumbest person in the world to believe that the money isn't affecting the politicians and that they haven't sold us out. Either you're the dumbest person in America or you're a New York Times reporter.
This is a robbery.
Back on TOAT, Cenk, Anna, Brian Kinsler. Brian, you're awesome for joining. We appreciate it. Hit the join button. CDN Northstar Dad, as usual. Thank you for gifting a membership on YouTube. I swear I didn't think I was gonna get worked up. God, man, Israel is infuriating, but 10,000 times more infuriating is the corrupt weasels who run our government and our media. Anna.
All right, let's get to our next story.
Yeah, what did you say? Go ahead.
What would you say to the survivors who feel
you are the worst reporter. No wonder CNN has no ratings because of people like you. You know, she's a young woman. I don't think I've ever seen you smile. I've known you for 10 years. I don't think I've ever seen a smile on your face. You know why? You know why you're not smiling? Because you know you're not telling the truth, and you're a very dishonest organization, and they should be ashamed of you.
President Donald Trump does not like being asked about the Epstein files. In fact, you just watched him engage in a bit of a meltdown after CNN reporter and anchor Caitlin Collins asked about the Epstein files. Gee, I wonder why he's so touchy about it. Now, more is getting uncovered as a result of the millions of files that were released by the DOJ, though it's not the entirety of the Epstein documents, of course. And we're now learning about how Epstein not only was very involved in geopolitical decisions, but he absolutely loved pain and chaos because he saw it as an opportunity to profit. I'll give you the details in just a minute, but first, Cenk, your 2 cents.
Yeah, the more of these files that you read, the more it makes your blood boil. So yesterday we talked about some really sick sexual things that they did to children. Today, it's about how they want to cause chaos and calamity for America to take advantage of it. including traitors here in America who are also rooting for it. So wait till you see what they had planning. And as Anna's telling you that, keep in mind, the US government knew all of this and hid it.
That's right. So there was an email exchange between Jeffrey Epstein and Peter Thiel. Interesting. Okay, well, what were they messaging about? The email exchange begins with Jeffrey Epstein on June 26, 2016, writing simply, "Brexit, just the beginning." He sent that to Peter Thiel. So Thiel responded with, I think what most people would respond with, which was, "Of what?" That was all he wrote back, "Of what?" And this is where you should pay close attention, because this is what Epstein had to say. And this is how people in his circle, which is to say billionaire elites, think about the world around them. Think about how they can benefit from the misery of others, from absolute chaos. He writes this: return to tribalism, counter to globalization, amazing new alliances. You and I both agreed 0 interest rates were too high. And as I said in your office, finding things on their way to collapse was much easier than finding the next bargain. So here's a guy who is receiving a tremendous amount of money from various Zionists as he works as an asset for Mossad and potentially other intelligence agencies, certainly the CIA, there's no question about that. It's not enough for him though. He wants global collapse so he can benefit from it. And by the way, I want you to pay close attention to the first thing on that list. Return to tribalism. Think about how much the elite, think about how much billionaires love tribalism, love polarization, love when ordinary people are too busy fighting each other that they don't have the time or the energy to focus on what they're up to focus on the robbery they engage in the chaos that they foment. So I thought that really stood out to me. We can get to more of what I found, but Cenk, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to be revolted about this because he's thinking American economy collapses, we buy everything cheap. The American people, I don't know if it occurred to him, or he doesn't pretty his little mind over the poors and the middle class and the average American. Did it occur to you that maybe we might lose millions of jobs? Like we lost 12 million jobs in the 2008 crash?
Oh, yeah, Cenk.
And he loves it.
Of course he loves it.
And he's like, oh, you guys are gonna suffer.
Yeah.
But me and all my rich friends, we're gonna buy low, and then we're gonna make even more money, and then we're gonna repeat the cycle over and over again. We're gonna crash your economy, you're gonna lose the jobs, I'm gonna get more money, and you're gonna get less money. Our government knows all of this, and they didn't do a single thing about it.
No, it's worse than that, Cenk. Because remember, Epstein and his buddies, who are Epstein's buddies?
Well,
the bankers, right?
Yeah.
The Wall Street bankers. Who created the 2008 economic collapse? The Wall Street bankers, okay? And who benefited after the collapse? The Wall Street bankers.
So this is 100% bipartisan, nonpartisan, because both Democratic and Republican administrations 100% screw us over for guys like Epstein.
Yep.
So what did Obama do? Obama had more money from the bankers in 2008 when he ran against John McCain than any other industry or any other group. And not only did he bail out the bankers after they crashed the economy, bought low with the bailouts we gave them.
Yep.
But he paid their bonuses.
Yeah.
So meanwhile, on the other side, Trump's in the documents, what, like 38,000 times or some insane number like that?
It's a lot. It's a lot.
And doing some of the most disgusting things, and Bill Clinton and all of them.
Larry Summers,
Dershowitz, as we're gonna get to. Oh my God, Noam Chomsky, Jesus Christ.
The Microsoft guy who's
Bill Gates, etc. And the government knows, and they're like, attaboy. So who does our government work for? Obviously, part of the answer is Israel. That is a huge part of the answer. Epstein in all the documents. Not only, by the way, I mean, they are really brazen in the emails because they're not just talking about Israel. They're making fun of Christians.
No, Cenk, thank you for bringing that up because you're like, well, what about all the, does he even care about normal people, working class? Of course he doesn't. In fact, What really stood out to me about Epstein's brazenness in his emails is his absolute loathing for non-Jews. And when I say non-Jews, I mean non-Jews, okay? In fact, he believes that non-Jews are only here on this earth to serve as slaves to the Jews. I believe that's referred to as Jewish supremacy, which is disgusting, racist, deplorable. I mean, every negative word you can imagine, I would slap it onto that kind of mindset. But he had that mindset, so no, of course he doesn't care about ordinary people.
Yeah,
come on.
He makes fun of the goyim. Now, guys, again, this is not, when we talk about Jewish supremacy, etc., it's these sick sons of bitches that are doing it. A random middle-class Jewish person has no idea what's going on, okay? They didn't get the call, you and I didn't get the call, neither did a poor or middle-class Jewish American, okay? But these elite guys, oh my God, they hate non-Jews. They're constantly talking about, oh, the goyim, they're so stupid. And then they have a debate about whether there's a single smart non-Jewish person. But Epstein goes, no. There's some brilliant wasps at JP Morgan executive level. So they found a couple of Christians that are not super stupid. And they're like, I found 2 or 3 Christians who are close to our intelligence level. Meanwhile, by the way, the same guys will turn around and go, everybody's an anti-Semite. Everyone discriminates against us.
Yeah, well, every accusation is an admission. So they're the hateful ones, right? And reading through those emails, and we're not talking about accusations in the FBI files. No. These are literal text message and email exchanges where Jeffrey Epstein, with his own mouth or his own mind, is saying some of the most disgusting stuff about anyone who isn't Jewish. Anyway, whatever, I don't want to focus on that right now because it is beyond infuriating, especially considering the fact that people in our government provide cover for these disgusting human beings.
And by the way, Dershowitz is one of these guys.
Alan Dershowitz, yeah.
And Dershowitz, every time he goes on television, accuses everyone of irrationally hating Jewish people and that, oh my God, we're the victims. Meanwhile, in the emails, Dershowitz's emails are a little bit different, but he's in the group overall,
right,
where they're talking about the stupid Christians. Meanwhile, they go on TV like, oh, we're the victims. Get the F out of here, man. Look, again, the average Jewish guy is just like you and me, has nothing to do with any of this. But the super rich guys are the ones that, like Bill Ackman, etc. Now he's not in the Epstein files as far as I know. But
Bill Ackman?
Yeah, I don't know. Is he?
I believe he is.
All right, we'll check on that grain of salt. Okay, hold on. So, but for those guys constantly are like, we are the defenseless. Brother, you have tens of billions of dollars. What do you mean you're the victims and defenseless? Meanwhile, he'll do a letter saying, if anyone protested Israel on any college campus, they'll never be hired on Wall Street. Well, then how? You're the one with the power. You're the one saying that you're gonna cancel regular Americans who dare to protest your beloved Israel. And why do you care about your stupid beloved Israel? There's no letter for if you defy America or you criticize America. Don't tell me you're an American when you say, if anyone criticizes Israel, then you're gonna ruin their life and their career. Yeah, so okay, you guys work for Israel, Tel Aviv, it's okay, you have Israel, you have it. And we don't want it to go anywhere. We don't want its destruction, we don't want any of that. Just move to Tel Aviv and leave us alone.
Other emails written by Epstein make clear that he envied the control the Chinese Communist Party has over its own people and economy. And this is where you see some on the very, very, very far left agreeing. There's envy over China's system, which I disagree with. But nonetheless, here's what he wrote in one email. All consumers digitized, evaluated. They get points for certain behaviors. This is the next 10-year plan. They say if you want our 500 million people buying X, we want Y. And if she says no Microsoft products, it's not like Donald asking people not to buy Toyotas. In China, the next day, no Microsoft products to sell. No Microsoft products sell. Genius. So he loves the idea of, and by the way, this comes up quite a bit. This desire for a different political system in which, democracy isn't really a thing. like a post-liberal democracy America seems to be something that these evil individuals have been plotting.
So look, when people talking about they don't believe in democracy, well, in the emails, they sometimes say we don't believe in democracy.
Right.
And Peter Thiel is the worst of them.
Yep.
And Peter Thiel, women shouldn't vote.
Yep.
Right? Poor people shouldn't vote. I mean, you want to talk about elitists? Okay, by the way, I looked up whether Bill Ackman was in the files. He was not, but his wife was. Nori Oxman, she received a $150,000 grant at MIT where she works from Epstein. And Ackman, of course, did his usual, I'll sue anyone, I'll destroy anyone who mentions my wife's name. Yeah, but she is in the files. I know, but we hate the truth, so we don't care. So he'll threaten, maybe he'll threaten us. They threaten everyone while pretending to be powerless. It's such a joke.
Yeah, the country you defend provides safe harbor for America's pedophiles and rapists. Just want to mention that. Nice in-depth reporting from CBS News back when CBS News did news. But anyway, let's move on. I want to kind of reset for the Noam Chomsky angle here because it's disturbing and infuriating, and you shouldn't have any heroes in politics because they don't exist. So with that in mind, we're now learning from the latest batch of the Epstein files released by the DOJ, of course, that Noam Chomsky, of all people, was not only friendly with Jeffrey Epstein, he was providing advice to Jeffrey Epstein as he was dealing with some sexual assault and rape allegations, pretty close to when he actually ended up getting prosecuted and imprisoned. So this is actually an email that Chomsky had written to Epstein February 23rd, 2019. Epstein copied and pasted the message and sent it over to a guy named Matthew Hilzick to get his opinion on what Chomsky was saying and the advice he was giving to Epstein. So now I'm going to read you Chomsky's actual message to Epstein. He says, quote, "I've watched the horrible way you are being treated in the press and public. It's painful to say, but I think the best way to proceed is to ignore it. I've had plenty of experience, though of course, not on this scale. A Google search will bring up tons of hysterical accusations of all sorts, even groups devoted to vilifying me. I pay no attention unless I'm approached for a comment on a specific matter. It's a nuisance, but it's the best way. The same conclusions from experiences of others, in some cases, close friends." So here's Noam Chomsky giving a serial pedophile rapist advice on how to handle the latest allegations against him. There's more. Further, he writes, what the vultures dearly want is a public response, which then provides a public opening for an onslaught of venomous attacks, many from just publicity seekers or cranks of all sorts, which are impossible to answer. How do you prove that you are not a neo-Nazi who wants to kill the Jews or a rapist or whatever charges come along? That's particularly true now with the hysteria that has developed about abuse of women, which has reached the point that even questioning a charge is a crime worse than murder. For virtually everyone who sees any of this, the reaction will be, where there's smoke, there's fire, maybe raging fire, whatever the facts, which few will even think of investigating. Okay, that was Noam Chomsky in a message that he sent to Jeffrey Epstein in 2019. So this is after Epstein had already been convicted of trafficking human beings for sex.
I don't get it.
I do. There are no heroes in politics. Just be very clear about that. There are no heroes. Just take people as they come, right? Some have good, contributions to the world of politics, but I think it's a mistake to think that anyone's a hero. All right.
But part of the reason why I'm confused by it is because he says in the middle, it's how do you prove that you're not a neo-Nazi who wants to kill the Jews? The reason why Chomsky says that is because Chomsky has been called an anti-Semite before, which is hilarious. He's Jewish, but he's generally been against Israel's genocide and all these things. So But what the hell's he doing with Epstein? But we all knew in 2008 he got caught. There's no question. So why would you go hang out with him? I just don't get it. And so, yeah. But look, to Anna's point about heroes, no, guys. Look. Heroes are for movies and books and stuff. Everybody's human. So, and by the way, you could be a hero while being human. Martin Luther King was very, very human and was an amazing hero, right? So, but to me, the bigger problem in this case is that we're in a Alice in Wonderland situation, and we're in a hall of mirrors, and you can't tell what's real or what's not real. I just was watching Dave Chappelle's latest special on Netflix, and he says the same thing. He's like, we can't tell what's going on anymore, right? Who's a good guy? Who's a bad guy? Does the government ever tell the truth? No. Does the media ever tell the truth? So then where do we go for figuring out what's going on? And I used to think that, and I've interviewed Noam Chomsky a bunch of times, I was proud of it, and I used to think that he was the smartest man alive. But why would a guy that brilliant, which he is, he's indisputably brilliant, make at a minimum such a stupid mistake of going and at a minimum hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein? Steve Bannon, what is that?
Yeah, he gave a confirmed rapist advice on how to dodge the latest allegations against him. So I've got no interest in trying to understand the mind of Noam Chomsky. People behave as they actually are behind closed doors. And so I got a little taste of who Noam Chomsky really is, and it's depressing, but it is what it is.
But it made me think, like, wait, is there, the concept of controlled opposition, right?
Yeah.
And so
it's called the Democratic Party.
So, but it made me think, are even people who are on our side actually on our side? Like, or are they put there for a release valve and for other reasons, etc.? Because obviously there are some folks who are super well organized. They are a very well coordinated team. And the general public in America is not well organized. And we've as I've talked about on the Tucker Carlson show, but as I've talked about on here and many other places, they formed two teams for us, Republican and Democrat. And they said, use up all of your energy fighting one another. And whatever you do, don't look up. So we got to get organized. If we don't get organized, these folks are gonna rob us blind from here to eternity. So operationconsequences.com. You ever see anybody voting for Israel to get another dollar? Vote them out. Vote them out in your own primaries. They're not one of you. They're not a Republican. They're not a Democrat. They're barely Americans.
When we come back from the break, we'll talk a little bit about one podcaster who supported Trump and now has serious buyer's remorse.
All right, gonna read some of these blind. I did see this one though. Rita Dell said, looks like Chomsky was manufacturing consent. Nice one, Vita. But also heartbreaking. Wang Jun said, 100% Anna, Muslims are being used as pawns to justify this expansion. This is nothing more than Israel following the Nazi playbook to build their own Third Reich. Back in the days, I would say, well, that's their opinion and blah, blah, blah. But look, if the Zionists were considering 3 different places for where Israel was going to be, one of them was Argentina. If they had done it in Argentina, I guarantee you we would have heard nothing about Muslim terrorists. All we would have heard about our whole lives is about the South American terrorists. The South Americans are the worst people ever. We should always bomb them. They're all terrorists. Can you believe they're hurting poor beloved Israel that took half of Argentina and then all of Argentina and then half of Chile and then half of Paraguay? But it's the South Americans' fault, right? Terrorists. By the way, I guarantee it, that's exactly what would have happened if they had put Israel in Argentina. And if you think it's not, you're super naive. Okay. Phoenix is totally right. Cenk, Israel, the time allowed for reading members' comments. You're right, and I'm gonna go faster.
Okay.
Okay, that's hilarious.
Excuse me. Naveenix, I finally got your gift. First of all, I just wanna let everyone know I'm not expecting gifts from anyone. Please don't send me gifts, but Naveenix did, and I thank you. It's incredibly beautiful. He had messaged me earlier about whether or not I got it, and we were worried it got lost, but I got it today. Thank you.
Okay, Theater Goddess says Trump tries diplomatic talks first because his idea of diplomacy is taking down his pants and bending over so the other party can kiss his ass. Then he goes right to blowing things up when they don't pucker up hard enough. That's totally true. And so, although sometimes he makes deals and then he violates them right afterwards. Buddy X Lacondo says, I really just don't understand the mindset. I get they have so much money, it doesn't matter if their economy collapses and they'll still be able to live their comfortable lives. But these are all mentally insane people with an addiction to making money. Yes, when the economy crashes, you can buy low and sell high eventually, but it feels like they're going to impoverish the world so much no one will be able to buy anything. How will they ever keep making more money? Well, first of all, you're totally right, but you know what it goes to is greed is infinite. And greed is stupid. So it's, if you ever read Lord of the Rings, it's like the dwarves who can't stop digging until they release the Balrog. So they're gonna release the Balrog, and by the way, AI is gonna be a huge part of it. And then when we have 10 to 20% unemployment, they're gonna be like, oh my God, no one could have predicted that the economy crashing would be bad for rich people too. Oh no, we need bailouts. No, brothers and sisters, next time it's not gonna be bailouts. It's gonna be something else. And they just don't get it. Their greed is infinite. Kingo Hart, and I don't want anybody to get confused. I'm talking about the Wall Street guys and all the people in power, irrespective of Israel or anything else. Kingo Hart 2005 says on Twitch, can't we get that battle coin on the TYT store, referring to my Cenk 2 cents? Now that's many times you guys have asked. So I'll talk to the thugs at shoptyt.com about making something out of that. And I appreciate you guys having fun with it. Crazel714 says, the only correct time for war is when it's against tyrants that attack life for personal gain. Other than that, it's all corporate warfare. Corporate or foreign government warfare, yes. Bezos Bucks Dragon says, I would love to see TYT do some reporting on Epstein and his connections to the formation of Bitcoin. Oh, that's interesting. I'll start to look into that. So I'm out of time. We'll be right back. All right, back on TYT, Cenk, Anna, and Susan Parfrey and 1978 J Bear. You guys are fun and awesome. We appreciate that you hit the join button below. Guys, it helps a lot. By the way, ring the bell, that's free, and that definitely helps. Share the stream, all of that helps, and it's free. And if you become a member, really, it sustains us. Otherwise, we're not funded by the giant donor class that gives all of this money to all the other shows. Golly gee, I wonder for what reason. Okay, anyways, so Faye Scott Smith wrote in the YouTube member section, hi Anna and Cenk, I wanted to give a big shout out to Noble Mobile. I had a SIM issue and they are refunding me $40. Thanks to you guys, I finally found an awesome phone service. Well, that's great, Faye. Thanks for writing that in. TYT.com/switch. You will, if you're paying over $50, you will definitely save money. TYT.com/switch, switch to Noble Mobile, and nothing on your phone changes. But I also want to tell you about Plod AI. So that helps you take notes during meetings. We also use it for interviews, but it's super helpful. That way you don't forget anything. It's just for your own use. It's a tiny little device. It's easy, and then it could also summarize the entire meeting for you. It just helps in 1,000 different ways. So you can check it out at plod.ai/TYT. That's plod.ai/TYT. It really will help you with every conversation you have at work. All right, Anna.
All right, let's get to our next story.
Look, I know I had Trump on the podcast, and I'm aware.
Explaining that.
No, but let me just clarify, because I think it is important to say, like, I know how I had him on the podcast. When I'm talking out about this, I'm not doing it to, like, get people to be like, oh, he's a good guy or whatever like that, or trying to get anybody on my side. I understand that this is a horrific event that happened. I objectively want to talk about it. I'm not trying to like win anybody over in this.
You understand? You know the difference between right and wrong.
There's a difference between right and wrong, and there's a difference between like respecting and honoring the Constitution, the backbone of our country, and then completely shredding it. And this is completely shredding it. I just think it's an important thing to speak out against. I just think it's horrific.
Comedian, podcaster Andrew Schulz is admitting that he's having some buyer's remorse when it comes to Donald Trump. Now, during a conversation about the Alex Preddy shooting, and he was shot and killed by 2 Border Patrol agents in Minneapolis, and the abuses of federal immigration agents, Schulz went on to basically accuse the Trump administration of shredding the Constitution. Cenk, your 2 cents.
Well, I want people to pay attention to what he's saying here as to why he's now done with the Trump administration. And I want you to have hope that there are a lot of people out there with open minds who might have voted for Trump in the past, but are now realizing what's happened. And that's a beautiful thing. So let's do this story so you get all the facts.
So this was during the latest episode of Brilliant Idiots, which is a great way of describing most of US media, but nonetheless, Brilliant Idiots podcast with Charlemagne the God, as you saw in the video. The 2 co-hosts discussed the fatal shooting of Alex Preddy and the Trump administration's grotesque premature response to it. Now, immediately after the shooting, Kristi Noem, for instance, DHS secretary, dubbed him a domestic terrorist. Stephen Miller claimed that Preddy was there to massacre law enforcement. Now, Andrew Schulz called out officials in the federal government for immediately jumping to conclusions about Preddy and disregarding Preddy's constitutional rights. Take a look.
The administration swears an oath. The president, these other people, they swear an oath to
the Constitution,
uphold the Constitution. This guy was exercising 2 of his constitutional rights. Okay?
Right to protest.
Let's assume it's the right to protest. Let's assume he is peacefully assembling and protesting, and the right to bear arms. And when you immediately jump to justifying that act, what you are doing is, in an effort to preserve your own personal power, you are shredding the Constitution in the face of the people. And it doesn't matter where you sit on the aisle. There is one document that is supposed to bind us all as Americans, and that is the Constitution. So I think that's why at its core, there are a lot of people that might have very radical views that are giving incredible pushback on this. And I love seeing it because they're recognizing that this disgusting act of shredding the document that's supposed to bind all of us as Americans.
So, I mean, look, I appreciate the fact that he's willing to say this, knowing that he's gonna get backlash from honestly all sides. The reception to his commentary there from the left has been that of scolding, jeering, how dare you, you had him on your podcast, you helped him. I think that's a mistake because I think one of the things the right did correctly in the lead up to the 2024 presidential election is that if anyone had any reservations about voting for Biden and then when he dropped out Kamala, the right would try to bring people in, right? Yeah. And if you aired your grievances about the Biden administration or how Kamala was treating, let's say, the Palestinian protesters, you would attract the ire of other Democratic voters. I think that's a mistake. You're pushing people away. You're helping the right win. So my view of this is, I agree with Schulz on this. He has reached the right conclusion on this. Yeah. So with that in mind, like, give him space to admit he was wrong and see if you can work together, right? See if you can build a broad coalition to win on issues you care about. Like that's, I wanna win. Like to me, that's the important thing. Winning and building a country that is better for all of us.
Yeah, so I'm biased here and I'll explain why in a second, but we're doing a poll that goes directly to Anna's question. It's on tyt.com. Andrew Schulz now regrets voting for Trump. Should we A, make fun of him, B, welcome him with open arms? I don't think it's complicated, but I was curious how many people would vote, make fun of him. And we're at what, 20%?
It's only a few votes.
Okay, yeah. But it's only a few votes, right? So go ahead and vote. I'm curious what you guys think. So look, here's why I'm biased. I've been on Brilliant Idiots, love the show. And we had a terrific show together, Andrew Schulz, me and Charlemagne, when I was on there. And I think Andrew's a really good guy, he's a smart guy. And a lot of the podcasters that are more comics, like Theo Von, Tim Dillon, Andrew Schulz, I think those three are perfect representative sample of the independent podcasters. Remember, they're young, right? So we've been around since the internet began, right? I'm Father Time. So I've seen this movie 100 times, but a lot of them haven't, and they're comics. So they're like, well, all right, I'm looking at this election, and I see Joe Biden doesn't have a brain. I'm not gonna vote for him. I mean, he's literally senile. I can't vote for someone senile. And all the Democrats are telling me I'm a Nazi for not voting for a guy with no brain. I mean, I saw it leaking out of his ear. We're gonna blame them for that, but it turns out his brain was leaking out of his ear, and we said it here, and we took a lot of crap for it. And then Kamala Harris is a corporate robot. I have 90 corporate CEOs saying I am the best, right? Oh, I love Dick Cheney. And so they said, how do we vote for that, right? Now, what I kept saying is, yes, but guys, I know it's bad, it's not good. We would prefer populists on the left. We're for Bernie, etc. But Trump is even worse. And why? Just like Charlemagne said in this exact podcast that we're referring to here, because he said things like we should terminate the Constitution after he lost in 2020. He has no boundaries at all. He is a con man. He doesn't care about anyone else. He has no empathy at all. He's gonna run amok trying to accumulate as much power in an authoritarian way as possible, and money. And of course we were right, why? Because we've been paying attention the whole time. And Trump is not complicated. So, okay, so they, in my opinion, they made a mistake. And I would say, and maybe a lot of people on the left disagree with me, but understandable mistake, not because of Trump, but because of who we offered up, okay? And so now, the left is in two camps. So one camp is, haha, you had it coming. You guys are idiots and we hate you and we don't accept your apology, or it's a good thing, or grovel more, right? And so, as you all know, I'm not in that camp. I'm in the camp of, oh, Andrew, great to see you, brother. Come on in, let's tell you about the populist left. Let's tell you about Ro Khanna, let's tell you about Rebellion PAC with all these candidates who are actually for the average American. And why are they on the left? Oh, because it turns out historically, the left has had all of these wonderful policies like paid family leave and lower drug prices and higher wages. All the great policies are actually, in my opinion, not all, but the great majority of them are on the left, or what we call the left these days. And then they go, oh, that's amazing. Maybe we could go in that direction if you gave us a real choice, like Ro Khanna or someone like him. Amazing, that's exactly what we want. So, but at the same time, Anna, I'm no longer angry at the other side of the left that goes, no, hate them, make them grovel, don't accept it, etc. The reason I'm done with that anger is because, look, I get it, guys. You have your own background, and you had your own media, and your media told you that Biden was a demigod and that he was FDR 2.0. So I don't blame you for believing that, I get it. Just like I'm not blaming some of the Trump voters for not understanding that Trump wasn't a demigod, right?
Can I be honest about something?
We both got took. So I'm trying to give the same grace to those guys as I'm giving to Trump voters. So I hear you, get it out of your system. And if you want to hate me or Andrew Schulz, okay, no problem, okay? By the way, the one simple ask though, I asked of the hosts, can you please not like.
Okay, Jake, hold on. Hold on.
Okay.
Who cares about all that? Look, we're operating as if like we live in a just society where our democratic process matters. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, look at where we are today. Like, look at where we are today, where you have both sides of the political aisle providing cover for a serial pedophile who is working for Mossad and potentially other foreign intelligence agencies. We don't live in a democracy. So like, look, I just want people to understand our issues are far deeper than any of us realized. Okay, like there is no conversation to be had about policy right now or legislation right now. Our government is rotten to the core, regardless of who's in charge. And we gotta change that. You're not gonna be able to change that by continuing the fake partisan politics that's only framed in the way it's framed to divide us. Like you get what I'm saying?
Of course I do.
We don't live in the world that we lived in, or we thought we lived in 2016 when Trump had just gotten elected. We don't live in that world.
But Anna, that goes to the point that I was making, because I think those independent podcasters are critical, because you already have people on the hosts on the right and the left that are never gonna move, and they're gonna tell you the answer is the new corporate Republican or the new corporate Democrat. And don't worry about it that they are both support Israel and the powerful and Wall Street and the donor class. That's not important as long as you pick the corporate Democrat. No, it's not gonna make a difference. Oh, corporate Republican or Trump, who's an establishment elitist. And it goes to the point I was making, which is that a lot of the hosts told people that we voted for Trump or supported Trump, and half of the left looks like they think that we did that, when that's not even remotely true. Because when you're a partisan, you don't care about what's right or wrong. You care about my team winning. But what Anna's trying to tell you is your team isn't your team. When they take the donor money, whether it's from Israel or the big pharma, they're not on your team, they're on big pharma's team. So if our side or any side makes the mistake of picking someone like Cory Booker, because they're like, oh, what a nice corporate Democrat.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There's an entire entity within our government. It's called the deep state. They're not elected officials. We can elect whoever the hell we want. It's not gonna make a difference.
No.
We have to do something to get the rot out. Otherwise, none of this matters. Okay, Andrew, like the reason why I'm not like up in arms about, oh, Andrew Schulz helped Trump in the lead up to the election and now he's changed his mind. The reason why I'm not riled up about that, as others are, is because our issues are much deeper than what comedian podcasters have to say about various candidates and who they invite on their shows.
No, but Anna, see, the reason why those podcasters are so important is because when Trump goes to nationalize the elections, as he threatened to do yesterday, if the podcasters all turn and go, oh, hell no, that's unconstitutional, we're not gonna let you steal the voting machines and then tell us who won later, it could push back. But if we just go, no, we hate you guys too, and we hate everyone, and Trump should do what the left wants, that's not gonna work, right? So I'm trying to maintain whatever democracy we have left, so we could get someone in 28 that might be able to make a difference. I know you say you're black-pilled, etc.
This is not, no one's gonna make a difference.
Okay, yeah, look, and a lot of people could say, ha ha, Cenk, this is hilarious.
I don't think it's hilarious. I think we are in crisis.
Hold on, let me finish for what I'm about to say, But if you elect an ally of mine, I promise you that I will do everything in my power to make sure that we actually have an honest government and that we clean out all of the spies, the assets, the agents, the traitors inside the American government. Now, we might not make it, an ally of mine might not make it, I might not make it. And by the way, that ally could get elected and go, Cenk, thanks a lot, get the hell out, right? That's entirely possible. And then I'll come and tell you, okay, now take the black pill, because we're done for, right? But we've got to try at least one more time. Because if we don't win in 28, meaning the American people, no matter where you are on the political spectrum, Palantir is gonna win. And then we're all Palestinians. And we'll be occupied forever and ever and ever. So we cannot let the bad guys win in 28. And now when Andrew Schulz and the others are coming in our direction, I think the correct answer is wonderful. Thank you guys for being open-minded and for realizing that Trump was not the answer. So we tried all the corporate Republicans and Democrats, they weren't the answer. The fake populist right of Trumpism, not that there's right-wing populism doesn't exist, but Trump's a fake populist, that didn't work. The answer is obvious, try populist left. So guys like Bernie Sanders are the only ones who've ever been honest. To be fair, Tom Massey's also honest, right? But you gotta try one last time, otherwise we're doomed.
All right, we got to take our break, but when we come back, we'll get into a discussion about our political system, actually. The insane amount of money that the Israel lobby is prepared to spend in upcoming elections and more. Don't miss it.
Every day, the Young Turks delivers 2 hours of solid, fact-based, timely news and progressive commentary on all the day's most important stories. We keep our viewers informed while also providing perspective and insight on the news we cover, so you understand not only what's happening, but also what's happening behind the scenes, the stories behind the stories.
We play musical chairs and put these children in one awful detention facility to the next. That's what's happening at the border.
The things that got him banned, he's still spreading. So presumably, I think it's reasonable to say that if you allow him back on the website, he's going to do it again.
Any legal voter that we deem not willing to vote for my side shouldn't vote because it'll replace me that's supposed to vote for my side. That's not how voting works. That's not how democracy works.
And while many people following today's political news can get discouraged about the direction of the nation and the world, that's not us. At TYT, we're genuinely optimistic about the future, and with good reason. Today, wide majorities of Americans agree with our progressive stances on issues ranging from healthcare and education to climate, immigration, and wages. The rising generation of young people are also overwhelmingly progressive in their political beliefs and policy objectives, and they're increasingly flexing their muscle as voters and activists to demand change from our elected officials. The traditional mainstream media is mostly AWOL. They, along with the government and many other cherished institutions, have been captured by corporate interests. Audiences sense that they're not getting the whole story or even the truth from once trusted outlets, whether broadcasting cable TV news networks or national newspapers and magazines. The antidote is the Young Turks. Unlike mainstream corporate outlets, we're not beholden to corporate advertisers, to defense contractors, to Wall Street, or to Big Pharma, and we don't carry water for the Republican or Democratic parties. So watch us Monday to Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, and join the thousands of progressives around the globe who tune in every day for TYT's unmatched, award-winning content and see what it's like to experience a news organization that only answers to you.
Indisputable, exclusive, disputable, exclusive. We brought you this first. No other news agency has this video. No other news agency has this story.
Every week on Indisputable, we do original, exclusive, investigative reporting you'll find nowhere else.
Our reports have been viewed by millions. Hosted by Sean King, Ben Crump, Senator John Ossoff.
You, through your investigative reporting, unearthed very troubling allegations about specific forms of abuse and discrimination in the federal prison system.
We catching these cases on camera. Just imagine the things that we don't see.
Our groundbreaking investigations and exclusive interviews bring you the real voices no one else wants you to hear. We tell the stories.
Imagine a prison that is so racist, the corrections officers contact me. That is a life or death situation being created. A black woman who was driving for Uber was allegedly assaulted by a white male passenger. After we got involved, roughly 24 hours later, the police all of a sudden opened up an investigation. What was going through your mind when bullets were simply flying inside of your vehicle?
Honestly, I thought I was going to die.
Did these officers ever say that you fit the description of somebody they were looking for? Did they say that?
Never.
Okay, that means they lied.
And we want you to be part of our truth-telling movement. Send pictures and video of stories no one else is telling and a 1 or 2 paragraph summary of the story to Indisputable's exclusive tip line at indvideos@tyt.com.
If you have more information about what's happening at this particular facility, please let me know.
Together, we're challenging the system, and together, we're making a difference.
I have the entire background to this story, and it is going to make your blood boil.
Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Ritchie, unveiling the truth, empowering the people. Weekdays at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 11:30 a.m. Pacific.
Merry Christmas.
Back on TYT, Cenk and Anna with you guys. Also, Pepper412 and TG03043. You guys are amazing. Thank you for joining through tyt.com/join. That's awesome, and you get all of our content there. We're gonna give you guys Operation Joy tonight. I think you'll love it. Anna.
All right, well, let's talk a little bit about political corruption and what's to come in the midterms, because it turns out, well, there are certain lobbies that have been raising quite a bit of money, and I wanna kind of put them on notice or put you on notice about them. So let's get into it. A pro-Israel super PAC is preparing to shell out nearly $96 million to bribe our federal lawmakers. Now, Cenk, what are your 2 cents on what's probably your favorite topic? Keep it short.
Israel has been, the Israeli lobby has been bribing our politicians for a long, long time. But now you get to find out about it. So I want you to really focus on the numbers. And then I want you to think about, as Anna's telling you all the stories, about how our media just hasn't been able to notice it. Like the guys in charge of noticing things just couldn't see any of this at all.
Well,
it's amazing.
If there's one thing I've learned over the last 2 years, noticing is a very bad thing. You shouldn't notice anything, okay?
It could mean you're anti-Semitic if you notice things.
That's exactly right. Now, this story specifically has to do with a super PAC that's titled the United Democracy Project, which doesn't really give you a sense that it's tied to the Israel lobby, but it is. And in fact, it's so tied to the Israel lobby that it gets most of its funding from AIPAC. Now, I would venture to say that AIPAC probably realizes that most people now know about them and the nefarious influence the Israel lobby happens to have on our political system. And so they're probably finding ways to kind of get around the great noticing that's happening among the American people. So they deploy this super PAC known as the United Democracy Project. UDP raised more than $61.6 million in the second half of last year, including a record $30 million in just 2 donations from AIPAC. Okay, so significant amount of money comes from AIPAC. You know exactly what this super PAC is all about. Other large donations to UDP in the second half of 2025 included billionaires Paul Singer, a Republican mega donor. He donated $2.5 million, and Haim Saban, a Democratic mega donor, $1 million. So these are hardcore Zionists, there's no question about it. And they provided these massive donations to this super PAC that carries out the best interests of Israel. Now, time will tell how the UDP plans on spending this money, meaning just how much they're gonna give to probably every congressional lawmaker, with the exception of those who have been vociferous in not wanting to aid and abet Israel's genocidal intent in the Middle East. Now, unsurprisingly, AIPAC, by the way, for reference, I want to give you one reference just to kind of give you a sense of how they have spent their money in the past. In 2024, UDP spent $37.9 million. So it's not like they're new to the scene, and they have spent a lot of money on our elections in the past. Now, unsurprisingly, AIPAC, which again helps to fund UDP, has been pushing Congress to approve more foreign aid to Israel, because of course they are. And meanwhile, UDP is gearing up to target any politician that's even slightly opposed to that policy, meaning taking out more US debt in order to provide more funding for Israel. For example, former Democratic Representative Tom Malinowski is running for governor, Mikey Sherrill's seat in New Jersey. And he has stated that Israel should not receive aid unconditionally. Now, let me be clear. We're talking about a guy who's actually very supportive of Israel. He's just saying, yeah, maybe the military aid shouldn't be unconditional. Maybe we should rein it in a little bit. And that was enough for him to become a target. So a spokesperson for UDP stated that Tom Malinowski is talking about conditioning aid to Israel. That's not a pro-Israel position. Great, he has my support. In a matter of weeks, UDP has spent over $2 million on attack ads against Malinowski. But you wanna know what's really fascinating about the attack ads? They don't mention anything about Israel, because the Israel lobby knows that they've lost the American people. So if they attack him on conditioning aid to Israel, he's probably gonna get more support, not less. So they're finding other ways to attack him. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, one last thing I'll say about this. In response to the spending onslaught, Malinowski stated, quote, "If their definition of pro-Israel now excludes mainstream Democrats like me, the number of pro-Israel people in America will become so small, it will be non-existent." Well, I mean, I would agree with him. I just don't know how many Epstein associates and pedophiles are currently in Congress. So many of them might be blackmailed into supporting Israel anyway, even if internally they don't actually like what Israel's up to. That's how this all works. So Cenk, your thoughts?
Yeah. So first of all, did you notice what they said about Malinowski? They said that he wants to put conditions on Israel's aid, and it must instead be unconditional. Isn't that super strange? Like a country wants military aid, in fact demands it, but not only do you have to give it to them, there has to be no conditions at all. So that you could steal our nuclear secrets, nope, there was no conditions. You could commit a genocide, there was no conditions. You owe me, Americans, you owe me, Israel says. They say it all the time. And how do they say it? They say it by spending millions against Tom Malinowski, Jamal Bowman, Cori Bush. But as I've told you many times, Andy Levin is my favorite because it shows you what it's really about. It doesn't have anything to do with religion. Andy Levin is a Jewish American, and he was a representative in Michigan, already elected, an incumbent, and he said something entirely benign. He stated American foreign policy. He said he was in favor of a two-state solution. Andy Levin says he's a Zionist, and he's like, I want to keep Israel free and independent and safe, but I also think there should be a Palestinian state. They spent $4 million to eliminate Andy Levin from Congress. Because this has nothing to do with Jews or Muslims or Christians or anything. This has to do with a lobby for a foreign government. And they are vicious. They will eliminate anyone that says that we should even put any conditions on their aid. No, our support in the form of hundreds of billions of dollars to Israel must be unconditional. No matter what they do, no matter what evil they unleash in the world, no matter how many people that they attack, no matter how many people they kill, America owes Israel. You owe us, they say, and they scream it in millions of dollars that they spend against all of our politicians who dare to raise their head against that foreign government. So I know because, not only because of all the stories that we've covered, but I knew intimately what was happening in the Nina Turner race in Cleveland. And at the time, AIPAC was starting to get caught, and they were realizing, hey, running as AIPAC and giving the money as AIPAC is a little problematic. So they did it through another group back then, but that group was hilariously named Democratic Majority for Israel. Now, I kept asking, where's the Democratic Majority for Cleveland, right? No, but it's in the name. No, you must work for Israel. And Shontel Brown did something amazing. She's the one that was at about 2% in the race. Nina Turner had a 35-point lead against all these guys. Shontel Brown put something in her website that said, I unconditionally support Israel. And voila, millions of dollars showed up for Shontel Brown. They bought every ad in radio and TV in Cleveland, and they erased Nina Turner's 35-point lead. And Shontel Brown is now the congresswoman from Ohio, and she loyally serves Israel every single day in the United States Congress. That is how they have systematically bought almost our entire Congress. 94% of Congress is funded by AIPAC. 82% of them vote with Israel every single time. Those guys, on average, just last cycle, got $125,000 per Congress member. Now, our mainstream media tells us, no, those Congress people are angels, and they're not affected by that money at all. AIPAC spent $100 million, the Israeli lobby did last cycle alone. And our media tells us that doesn't affect the politicians because they're saints.
They don't even cover it. They don't.
Okay, and they don't even talk about it.
They don't cover it. Yeah.
And in fact, if you do talk about it, and you just say, hey, wait a minute, it looks like they're buying off our politicians. They're like, anti-Semite, destroy his career, says Jake Tapper and Dana Bash and almost everybody in establishment media, because they don't care about this country at all. All they care about is how do we push every dollar we can from America to Israel. And so this is an organized group that's their job. So now Malinowski is on the block, but it's not just them. And by the way, the list of people that Anna read you, why are they doing this subterfuge? And what are the layers of it? They're like, well, okay, AIPAC is toxic, but we still want to do it. So we'll call it UDP or Universal Basic, whatever, we'll call it anything you want, okay? Just don't let people find out it's for Israel while we demand total obedience to that government, right? Now they're going to another layer where even that's getting caught, as you see here. So they're saying, okay, we're gonna do the same thing, it's gonna be just as organized, but we're gonna tell all of our donors, just donate as individuals, because that'll allow us to weaponize charges of anti-Semitism better. That's our number one tool. So when Paul Singer gives money in this case to defeat this guy, and you go, hey, it looks like Paul Singer only cares about Israel, they go, anti-Semite! He's just an innocent Jewish American, has nothing to do with Israel. He just happened to be walking by and decided to fund every election to make sure that everybody in Congress works for Israel. It's just a coincidence. No, it has nothing to do with religion, it has to do with the government. Paul Singer is also the guy financing the opponent of Tom Massey. So they're in Democratic primaries, they're in Republican primaries, because they don't care. They don't have any allegiance to Democrats or Republicans or even America.
Yeah, they want to rape the country on behalf of Israel. That's what they want to do. They want to rape our country on behalf of Israel. That's all it is. And so call me anti-Semitic if you want. I don't care.
So, I mean, we could argue about the word rape. You could say, no, it's just a robbery. They've only taken $350 billion so far, and they are demanding tens of billions more. They're demanding it and demanding it. By the way, again, when I was on Tucker Carlson's show, I asked, hey, is anybody in American media gonna do this poll? Do Americans owe Israel any more money? And so far, nobody's done that poll, and nobody will do that poll. Why? Because they don't want the answer. I guarantee you it'll be an enormous percentage of Americans go, no, we don't owe them any more money. And the media will be furious, and our politicians will be furious. How dare you, you anti-Semites, go you work another shift. Israel needs more money. Now, lastly, Haim Saban. Haim Saban has been the #1 donor to the Clintons. He is an enormous Democratic donor. His job is to co-opt the Democratic Party on behalf of Israel. I don't know that Haim Saban has a second issue. All I've ever read about him in politics, and I have read a lot, is he gives an enormous amount of money to Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, and then he goes, one priority, bow to Israel, okay? And they do, and all the Democrats bow because of Haim Saban, the Republicans bow because of Paul Singer and the other guys, and they have both parties completely locked up, and they have the media as another weapon, because not only does the media not cover these stories, they cover up these stories, and if anyone dares to actually cover them and reveal them to you, the media comes in and goes, those are anti-Semites, those are illegitimate, they should be canceled, and no one should ever, ever, ever listen to them again. Make sure they're shut up for, okay, and then you go, well, that looks like you're working for Israel, anti-Semite. So this is an old trick. This is a trick that they've done now 2,000 times over. What is awesome is that the American people are waking up. And on the right and the left, they're going, no, we don't owe Israel. And Paul Singer and Haim Saban could go pound sand in their beloved Tel Aviv, okay? And now people are beginning to say, hey, and I'm the first one to say it, when is Israel gonna give us the money back? Because they keep saying, oh no, us taking all of your money is super helpful to America. Great, we'd love to help Israel in the same exact way. Give us our $350 billion back. We gotta ban all of this money in politics. If you don't ban the money in politics, Israel supporters, big pharma, big oil, the defense contracts, they're gonna buy our politicians until the cows come home. They are never, ever, ever going to work for us. We should have only one priority, constitutional amendment to get money out of politics. We've been telling you that here for literally 15 years straight, okay? And now the whole country's waking up and realizing our government isn't our government. It's totally bought, it's totally corrupt. Almost every politician is a scumbag. They're the worst people in America, and they have been handpicked by either Israeli supporters or big pharma, etc., to be the very worst of us and to rob us blind on behalf of those donors.
When we come back from the break, we'll talk a little bit about the New York Magazine profile on Congresswoman Nancy Mace, which was not a good look for her. We'll discuss why it's coming out now and more when we return.
All right, Cole Hectors writes in on Super Chat. I'm from Mexico, and in 2001, there was a bombing attempt in the legislature. There were 2 suspects. One of them was an IDF soldier, and both had fake Pakistani passports. Just wanted to let you know.
Of course they did.
So I don't know that story, so I'll take it with a grain of salt. But am I surprised by that? And I'll look it up, brother. Am I surprised by that story? Not 1%. Israel seems to be creating operations in almost all of our governments, so that all of our governments work for them. Again, I don't blame them. It's a smart, strategic thing to do. They've just abused the hell out of it, and now they got caught. And so they got caught by the American people. I don't know what happens next, but it'll be probably like some sort of, I don't mean a literal war, but a rhetorical, political war between the American people and the people who rule us. And that's the American media and the American politicians who are completely corrupt, who work for the donor class, and their job is to lie to you. So that's the war that's coming. So William Gabe's World says, great to see you all. I mean, you and Anna brought me over. Love you all. Oh, that's amazing. Thank you. Oh, look what happens when you're open to people. Mystic Mac writes in, Jink just said, what is that? Tucker's rubbing off on TYT. By the way, Anna's queen. So I didn't realize I was doing that. He does say that a lot, and so thank you for the heads up on that. The Lady Rozo once says the World Wide Web of corruption and sex trafficking, we are doomed. And that's literally what it is. Constantine Kavira says, I just read Manufacturing Consent last week. What's going on? I don't know what I believe anymore or what I know anymore. Constantine, join us, man. The whole country is going, is anything real? Or has this been a mirage the entire time, right? And I know a lot of people who still have the glasses on. And so if you tell them it's a mirage and an illusion, they're confounded. They think you're the crazy one. They're like, no, our politicians are great. We just elect Cory Booker or Pete Buttigieg and everything's gonna be great. Oh, it's so frustrating. It's my fault. 81 says, I don't think it's an indictment on Noam Chomsky. Dude is old enough to be Epstein's dad, so maybe he didn't know. Nuance, right? Yeah, look, I'm holding out hope that you're right, brother. And by the way, we don't know that Chomsky did anything. We just know he was hanging out with Epstein. He wrote him that email, took the pictures with Bannon. It's crazy, but we don't know that he did anything wrong or illegal. Tiny Dog Dragon says, Noam Chomsky, WTF. Am I supposed to toss my books? Honestly, I believe that he was so intelligent and I am stunned. I'm just gonna toss the books. Don't toss the books are still right? But yeah, obviously skepticism going forward. Michael Cotavelli says, last week Netanyahu publicly questioned if it's right to hold elections in Israel. Then once again, Trump starts talking about elections in the US. Yeah, we're importing a lot of the worst abuses of that right-wing government in Israel. By the way, that also doesn't help Israel. Does it help Israel to kill their democracy? No. The right-wing fascists have won in Israel and they're importing it here to America. And it doesn't help America or the actual Israeli citizens. Constantine also wrote in Happy Friday, what? It's only Tuesday. Let's make it a Super Chat Tuesday. Well, who doesn't love you, Constantine? Thank you, brother.
It's only Tuesday.
Okay, everything's gonna be great. We'll be right back. TYT, Jeng and Anna with you guys. I'm gonna read one comment from a member on TYT.com. Wang Jun wrote in, Anna perfectly represents how we all feel. Cenk represents how we should deal with those feelings. Yeah, the world is completely effed. We should at least try to un-eff it, even if we end up failing. I refuse to die without a fight. Here, here, brother, exactly. OperationConsequences.com, OperationHope.com. I'm never gonna stop trying. We're gonna fight, 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 and try to win back the country in 28.
All right, let's get to our next story. New York Magazine has just put out a pretty bombshell expose on Congresswoman Nancy Mace, a Republican. In fact, the title of the piece is, Nancy Mace is not okay. Something's broken, the motherboard's fried. We're short-circuiting somewhere. It's written by Jake LaHutte, and I'm about to give you some excerpts, but before I do, Jake, just based on title alone, your 2 cents.
Yeah, so Nancy Mace is cray-cray. You're gonna see that in a minute. You're gonna see the details of it. But at the same time, I do wonder why this story comes out now. So there's an interesting theory about that. I'll share that with you in a minute.
Yeah. Now look, I am not debating Cenk on the cray-cray allegations because we've all seen Nancy Mace engage in some crazy rhetoric and behavior. And a lot of that is outlined in this lengthy piece. So author Jake LaHutte spoke to multiple former staffers of Representative Nancy Mace, whose support has been cut nearly in half since October. And many of them are worried for her, citing multiple examples of what they deem erratic behavior. So I'll go over what they've been claiming, and you can decide for yourselves if you think she's been engaging in erratic behavior. Her staffers, as well as many inside the Republican Party, thought she had potential, a willingness to both take risky, heterodox positions and to submit enthusiastically to the ludicrous demands of the modern attention economy. She could come off as a bit nuts, but that wasn't necessarily a bad thing in the age of Trump. We live in hell. That's where we live in hell. But I'll continue. Further, they write that one person close to Mace recalled the way Bill Maher described meeting Trump for the first time. In this person's experience, Mace was not a crazy person, but someone who played one on TV. 5 years in, however, it's unclear if Mace actually knows the difference between the two, according to former staffers. Quote, "We've moved past that now," the person said. "Something's broken, the motherboard's fried. We're short-circuiting somewhere." So there are more details and examples that I'll give you in just a minute. But remember, these are former staffers, but she has engaged in some crazy behavior, right? Like her, I'll give you an example. So it is totally fine, especially as a Republican lawmaker, to raise questions about, transgender healthcare for minors, right? Like that's an issue that they purport to care a lot about. But Nancy Mace went out of her way to be dehumanizing to transgender people, referring to them with, a slur and all of that over and over again during House hearings. And to me, that is not the sign of someone who actually wants to get to the bottom of the issue and eventually vote on legislation that's going to benefit people's lives. To me, that's the sign of someone who's just engaging in rhetoric and theater for attention, not because she's actually interested in serving as a public servant who's looking to draft policy that's gonna benefit society.
Nancy Mace has had one good vote, and that's why this story might have come out.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. She voted in favor of releasing the Epstein files. Like let's not waste our time right now, okay? She voted in favor of it despite the fact that Trump pulled her in along with Lauren Boebert and other Republicans and told them not to. They did anyway. Now, look, at the same time, New York Magazine, not exactly Trump lovers.
No. So that's not how it works. It works with leaks. So the person receiving the leak doesn't have to be on Trump's side, doesn't have to be on Israel's side, doesn't have to be on Epstein's side, but the person doing the leaking. So now we've seen this 1,000 times, right? So it's not to defend Nancy Mace. She's said terrible things, and she's apparently terrible to her staffers, and you saw it with all the stunts. We don't have to prove it to you with the driving down to DC in her pajamas or driving up to DC.
I forgot about that.
Right, like just weirdo stuff, right? Like all of it can be summarized that, look at me, daddy, look at me, right? And so, okay, I got it, but we knew that before. So I remember with Madison Cawthorn, I think he's in a lot of ways a spectacular example of it. So another guy's a right winger, didn't agree with him at all on policy. All of a sudden he speaks out against Republicans and how they're having orgies behind the scenes and cocaine and all.
Which we should all believe.
By the way, at the time I thought that's a ridiculous conspiracy theory.
No, it's not.
I know.
It's not.
No, now that I've seen the Epstein files and now that I saw what they did to him, I think, I guess that's true.
Yeah, pervy wankers, a lot of them.
So I don't know what the hell's going on in that Senate, but it is nuts. The people in power are the very, very worst of us, and they do crazy stuff behind the scenes. So Madison Cawthorn says all sorts of crazy stuff, never gets in trouble. The minute he outs Republicans like that, boom, the secret file comes out. Oh, he was dressed like a woman once, and he did this, and he did that, and they show Madison and they redistrict him, and they show him the door. Okay,
yeah, that could be the case with Nancy Mace. There's no question about it. But let me give you some more of the dirt that New York Magazine published here. They write that staffers say Mace would command them to bring her liquor after midnight to keep parties going at her home, which is technically an abuse of her, that should be considered an abuse of her office, according to House rules. Look, when I worked for her, our poor scheduler was getting calls at 2 o'clock in the morning to come bring her bottles of tequila. A former staffer claimed of incidents they recalled going back to 2021. So here's the thing that people in positions of power, regardless of where we're talking about, right? The context could be Congress, it could be the office, whatever, right? People in positions of power who get others who maybe even report to them to do like these little errands are so stupid. First of all, you are abusing people, don't do that. That's immoral and I'm against it. But also, eventually they're not gonna be working for you. You don't think they're gonna out you? You're a public figure, why are you so dumb?
And it's called DoorDash. Just order the freaking liquor online, who cares? Like, what do you, okay. But look, we can give you the whole thing, but honestly, like, I'm not surprised by any of it. And
she made them clean her Airbnb properties, okay? Literally, like that's what they're claiming. So they say she made her aides clean multiple properties. She was renting out on Airbnb instead of paying for a maid. On election night 2022, for example, Mace instructed aides to spiff up her guilty. $3.9 million home in Isle of Palms for a watch party, according to a former staffer with direct knowledge. She would routinely do the same when she rented out her Washington townhouse. I literally cannot imagine asking anybody. Can you imagine asking a producer? Like, yo, I don't have time, I'm gonna have a party tonight. Can you go liquor run? Can you clean my Airbnb that I'm getting passive income from, please? I can't afford to hire a maid.
It's a $3.9 million house. You could definitely afford a maid. So look, but no one has to convince me Nancy Mace is not a great person. But guys, I'm back to the secret files because this not only, what I don't want you to do is if you're on the left, go, okay, well, but I hate Nancy Mace and Matt Gaetz, that's another guy they did it to, Madison Cawthorn, etc. And conveniently, when they out other Republicans or other donors or Epstein or Israel, all of a sudden the secret file comes out, right? But even if you say, yeah, but I hate him and I'm good with it, they also do it to the left. You think they don't do it to the left? Where do you, I mean, every story about Bernie Sanders, they had to dig and dig and dig. And they were like, he has a house. Like, I mean, they would come up with the most absurd things, right? He wrote a book and made money, right? And so thank God the guy's nearly a saint on that side. So a lot of that stuff didn't land. And they did it to me. If you don't know the story, when I formed Just Democrats, and then when I ran for Congress, they literally called every woman that ever worked at Young Turks because they were digging, trying to create a secret file. And they couldn't find anything there, so they had to keep digging. They asked, I mean, the way that they routinely targeted me was amazing. And so, by the way, I take it as a great point of pride. Thank you. Apparently you think that I could actually do some positive change. Otherwise, they don't target you like that. And so that's why I feel like I already got my file on Nancy Mace. I don't need any extra information about her. So I want to almost like, as a matter of principle, disregard anything that's a hit job from the people trying to protect Epstein.
Okay, but to be fair, we don't know.
No, I know, I guarantee it. I don't know, like as in they told me and I have an inside source, but this is hit job 101.
No, it's definitely
She was one of only 4 Republicans that voted to release the Epstein files. Trump said he's never gonna help her again. He won't endorse her if she runs for governor of South Carolina. And then the New Yorker wound up getting, New York Magazine wound up getting a leak. Wow, look at that. And by the way, who also voted against Epstein files? Marjorie Taylor Greene, or in favor of releasing them? And what happened? Tree's a traitor, and then all of a sudden now we got hit jobs on Marjorie Taylor Greene and etc. So anyone who doesn't play ball with the system on the left or the right is going to get a character assassination. And now in Nancy Mace's case, that character, they're beating a dead horse, right? But they are trying to assassinate her character, and so I think just know where it's coming from. So as bad as Nancy Mace is, the people doing this are more evil than her.
All right, final break. When we come back, we'll talk about the person you least expect funding a Muslim organization. We'll be right back.
All right, let's go to TYT.com members. Never mind, writes in. The rich get it. That is why Trump is working to mobilize the military in the streets ahead of everything collapsing. The military historically has always been mobilized to crush uprising, strikes, etc. in America. I 100% believe it. That's why I can't stand what ICE is doing. I can't stand that they're masked. And I can't stand that Larry Ellison is rubbing his hands together. Oh no, saying we're going to surveil every American and we're going to find out what you're doing. And so, great news! They'll create a secret file on all of us. Lobbyist for Big Poor says the TYT poll doesn't work for me. I honestly know very little about Andrew Schulz, but I'm neither about icing out Trump voters or welcoming them with open arms. So. You do you, boo. I totally get it. And I said it earlier, I'll say it again. Everybody has a different range. They have different opinions and nothing wrong with that. We just keep an open mind and let's all stay here and figure it out together. From my point of view, brother, when someone says you're right, I don't argue with them. I don't know why that's such a crazy idea, but I take yes for an answer. But to each his own. I get it. You're mad, and we're all mad, and they shouldn't have done that, etc. They should have known better, but they didn't, and they're saying it now. So God bless. Egypt 5 says, Anna, don't confuse Cenk with contradicting instructions like, "What are your thoughts on your favorite topic? Keep it short."
I know, for real.
Don Donna Dragon says, Mamdani was the first time we saw a win in a long time, but Israel could easily tell their candidates, say you hate us, open a meme coin and we'll pay you that way. You think they're not doing that now? I mean, they're certainly doing it with Trump and God knows who else. Vinny J21 says, I'm a 22-year-old male living in rural Indiana. My first ever vote was for Trump. Today, I'm disgusted by what our country looks like. I began to watch TYT a few months ago. You guys are awesome. Vinny, we love you too, brother. Thank you for having an open mind and being here. And guys, look, he's a member. Like, it's not a trick. You look at the polling. Tons of people are coming in our direction. Please say yes. It's just like politics by Cenk Uygur. When millions of people want to vote for you, say yes. The rest of the left, no. Okay, not the rest of the left, not all of them. Okay, but some for sure. Let's go to YouTube members. Donovan 8X says, 1 year being a member. Thank you, TYT, for all you do. Here's so many more. Thank you, Donovan. Simon Moody says, does anyone trust the US as a negotiating partner at this point? And the correct answer is no, because Israel usually murders the people we're negotiating with. And then we go, oh yeah, they're allowed to do it, they're Israel, there are no rules for them. Anti-Semite. Eddie Jameson says, I don't know if you make depressing news more exciting, but you definitely motivate me to get more involved. I love it. Let's go support Rebellion Pack, by the way. Kenji 1962 Boss says, you are especially beautiful tonight, Anna. If only the news was as beautiful as you. Kenji loves you.
Aw, Kenji.
Okay, all right.
I love you too.
Okay, we appreciate that, Kenji. Athena Onken says, love the show and all you do. We need your fire now. I'm a boomer who needs your sanity. Help me keep mine. The world is crazy now, more each day. Everybody stay together, don't lose hope. My Love Nebraska says, I'm definitely voting for Dan Osborne in November. I love it. He's an independent. I would vote for him in Nebraska for sure. Rai K says, it's so funny how the Daily Mail and the New York Post have made ridiculous headlines claiming Epstein was a KGB. All right, back on TYT, Jeng and Anna with you guys, and also Mirage of Desert Odyssey, which is an awesome handle. Thank you for gifting 5 memberships on YouTube. You guys are amazing. Guys, we do need it. So if you can join, this is a great time to join. Hit the join button below, and we appreciate all you guys. All right, Anna, what's next?
All right, let's talk about CAIR.
I want to know what people are actually going to do. My life is ruined. Does anybody understand how ruined my life is? I'm sick of it. I don't want to listen to people tell me that I'm a conspiracy theorist. They don't know what it's like to be me. My life is ruined.
Well, watching that meltdown helps me understand just how much of a Zionist she is. Perpetual victim, everything's about her. That was Laura Loomer, who, well, has the president's ear when it comes to things like hiring and firing people in the White House, or what we should do with foreign policy. But nonetheless, one of the nation's biggest Islamophobes has been funding the nation's largest Muslim civil rights and advocacy organizations. And it's all thanks to her crash out following her Twitter ban in 2018. Cenk, your 2 cents before we get to the details?
I hadn't seen that video before. It's going to be daily viewing from now on.
That was fun.
That was super fun. Hey, tell that me and the victim. Y'all cry more, bitch. Okay, so why do I say that? You'll see later the things she said about me in particular and Muslims in general. She's the worst bigot in the country, and media's like, what? She didn't say anything against Jews. She's perfectly fine. All right.
So if you can recall, Laura Loomer was permanently banned from Twitter in late November of 2018, and that was due to her anti-Muslim comments, her Islamophobic statements. She decided to put all the blame on the Council on American Islamic Relations, otherwise known as CAIR, and their Florida chapter in particular. She alleged that they were fully responsible for her ban on social media and that they were trying to censor conservative voices. Now, she later sued. She sued them, and as you can guess, it didn't go so well for her. And the case quickly was dismissed by a judge who called her nonsensical. And even looking at the notice of removal, you can see, just how delusional Laura Loomer was and is. So although plaintiffs do not expressly assert how much in damages they are seeking in their frivolous lawsuit, plaintiffs allege that CAIR's conduct caused Loomer's income to be reduced by 90%, as well as other damage such as the loss of future employment and speaking opportunities, as well as reduced access to online and other resources for publishing, fundraising, and financial services. I would just venture to say that her own open, overt behavior is what leads to her losing job opportunities, but I digress. Loomer didn't give up. She actually appealed 3 separate times before the US Court of Appeals had enough and affirmed a $125,000 judgment on behalf of CAIR and CAIR Florida. And at this point, CAIR, they even threw her a bit of a bone because that's what she was ordered to pay, $125,000. CAIR comes back and says, you know what? We're gonna reduce the amount that she owes us. Isn't ridiculous. That no, but this is don't amazing. No, I'm glad they did it because it gives you a sense of how vicious and vile she is and how much she lies about CAIR and Muslims in general, of course. So as part of a settlement reached in 2023 to address her outstanding debt, CAIR agreed to let Loomer pay a total of $73,500 in monthly installments, among other terms.
Why doesn't she go ask her daddy in Israel? Why doesn't Netanyahu pay your bills? That's all you ever do is try to pleasure him. So yeah, what are you reducing it for? Why doesn't Paul Singer or Haim Saban pay her bills?
So for a while, things were fine. Didn't seem like anything had gone awry after that agreement and settlement had been reached. She had been quietly making monthly payments to CAIR in the amount of $2,400 per payment. Now the story starts to get kind of fun, okay? Because Loomer tried yet again to get out of having to pay what she owes to CAIR. And so after Florida Governor Ron DeSantis declared that CAIR is a terrorist organization, she tried to use that or exploit that for her own purposes. So the court ruled against her when she challenged whether she still has to pay CAIR, the settlement that was reached in court. The self-proclaimed proud Islamophobe lost. And the court said, no, you have to finish paying them back. So we'll end with the final word from CAIR litigation director Lena Masri, who really had to make it sting for Loomer. Here's what she says. Since Ms. Loomer began sending her payments to CAIR in 2023, our attorneys have used her funds to provide legal representation to the American Muslim community and advance free speech, religious freedom, and civil rights for everyone in our nation. We look forward to receiving Ms. Loomer's final payments and using the funds to once again protect American Muslims and our neighbors from hate.
That's awesome. Great job, CAIR. So Laura Loomer said this about me dozens of times, about Muslims, hundreds, maybe thousands of times. She wrote just yesterday on X about me, all you do is lie. It must be an Islamic quality. Maybe it's in your DNA like a defect.
Can you imagine if you flipped it on her and you said that about Jewish people, which would be, by the way, disgusting. It would be a disgusting thing to say about an entire group of people. But for some reason in this country, it's totally okay for Laura Loomer to make broad generalizations, stereotypes, and smears about an entire religious and ethnic group.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I wrote on X. I said, imagine if I talked about her Jewish DNA being defective, and she has a Jewish quality about her that makes her lie all the time.
I mean,
well, I would be canceled forever and ever. I would never be put on another media show ever again, and all of the national media would say this is a terrible anti-Semite and the worst person in the world. And look, by the way, if you said that, you are a terrible person. You shouldn't believe that. You shouldn't think that, and it isn't true, right? She says it, not a peep. Randy Fine said, let's murder everyone in Gaza. 2 different times, nuke them and starve them to death. No censure, no national scandal, no nothing. Mark Levin talks all the time about how Muslims are the problem and Muslims are defective and Muslims are terrorists and they love violence, etc. No problems, he's still on air everywhere, he's on has a national television show. The pro-Israel first guys who are deeply, the most bigoted people in the whole country, who despise Muslims and proudly say it on air all the time. Never any consequences. So that's why I love this story, okay? There are laws in this country, and CAIR, great lawyers, way to go, okay? And so I love that there were consequences in this case. But if it's up to the national media, there would never be consequences for Israel first. And they would say, if you criticize anyone who's Jewish or anyone who's even supports Israel, you should be canceled for the rest of time. You wanna say the worst things in the world about Muslims? Jake Tapper and Dana Bash don't care at all. They're like, atta girl, way to go, right? Now they didn't say that, but I don't see them getting outraged by Randy Fine or Laura Loomer or Mark Levin. Never saw them talk anything about those people ever, ever, ever. Never a national story. No one at the New York Times cares. No one in media cares because, it's only Muslims. And then they all pretend that they care so much about bigotry.
You know
but
why,
only
though, right?
if it's against Jewish people, and then they use it to eliminate every opponent of Israel. But if it's against Muslims or Christians, shut up. No one cares.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think you know why. I don't know if
because they all love Israel and they're obsessed with protecting Israel. So they love to smear Muslims and everyone else. And when Laura Loomer does it, they're like, atta girl, inside their heads, and they know it.
Hold on. Let's be fair in that I distinctly remember Jake Tapper being kind of vicious to Laura Loomer. So it's not like they like Laura Loomer. However, your general point stands. And the reason why, there's absolute loathing and hate for anybody who's critical of Israel is because our corporate media is owned and controlled by Zionists. It's just the truth. It is, it's the truth. And if it's not, what happens? What happened to TikTok? What happened to CBS?
Well, I mean, at this point, CBS and TikTok are self-avowed. Yeah,
that's exactly right. Like, is it anti-Semitic to say it? I mean, they're the ones who say it out loud all the time, every single day.
So look, you're right about Jake Tapper. I don't remember it exactly, but I have a faint memory in my head that he has criticized Laura Loomer, and I would believe that. And I would believe even Dana Bash would be concerned about these comments that are anti-Muslim, etc. But the point that I'm making there, guys, is do they make a big deal out of it? Do they make a giant national scandal, congressional hearings, etc.? Have you heard about it 24/7 that these people are viciously bigoted against Muslims? No, maybe you hear about it once and that's it, it's done, right?
Yeah.
But if anyone says anything critical about Israel, it becomes just a gigantic story.
Yeah.
And there's an enormous effort to eliminate that person from the national conversation. Oh my God, and they're just, and maybe it's just, hey, you know what? Like just based on how they grew up, they think they've been trained that the whole world is out to get them, and are all about to be murdered any second, and that everyone hates them. So they're animated about that. So anytime they see 1% of that, they're like, that's it. We got to make that the biggest story in the world. But they haven't been trained to care about Muslims or anyone else. So when they see that, they're like, oh yeah, that's unfortunate. Let's never talk of it again, okay? Because they just don't care. They don't care that these guys have been spreading anti-Muslim bigotry our whole lives. And do they participate in it? Well, I would argue that they do in some ways. So they do in that whenever they talk about people being killed in Israel, they make it seem like it was the greatest tragedy in the history of humankind. This worst thing that's happened since the Holocaust. And by the way, there's truth to that, right? So it was a great tragedy what happened on October 7th. So at that point, I got no problems. Then they turn around and Israel's done 70 October 7th, and it's barely a story. They don't seem to care about it at all, at all. All I ever see them talking about is how they were aggrieved by people who are against the genocide. And everybody against the genocide is an anti-Semite or some other garbage like that I see from them. So if they're pretending they care about Muslims the same way that they care about their own people, that's a joke, and everybody knows it's a joke. I don't think they could even say that with a straight face. So has anyone called for a censure of Randy Fine for wanting to murder several million Muslims? And isn't it weird that no one in media has called for that, let alone anyone in government? Isn't that super weird? But they all thought it was perfectly normal that when Ilhan Omar said it's all about the Benjamins, about lobbyists and a guy named Benjamin, right? They're like anti-Semite, the worst person in the world. She should be censured. This is a giant national scandal. Meanwhile, Laura Loomer, Mark Levin, etc. like, oh, I hate the Muslims are defective, etc. Like, minor little nuisance, no big deal. Oh, she's at the White House, she got a bunch of people fired. So did you ever think why she's getting people fired? She's getting them fired for opposing Israel. But you never do a story about that because you love Israel and you really don't care about the rest of us. And that's the moral of that story. All right, when we come back, totally different, Operation Joy.
They don't know what it's like to be me.
I'm so upset. Oh my God.
back on TYT, checking out with you guys. We're doing Operation Joy. Now, first of all, Tony Guzman, thank you for joining, appreciate it. And then Tony gifted 5 memberships on top. You're awesome, Tony. So if you can, guys, hit the join button, helps a lot. Share the video, ring the bell, you get it. I'm just gonna read 2 comments from the show because they're funny, and then I'm gonna move to the Operation Joy comments. YouTube member Ronan DLB wrote in, people are flawed. I woke up after Hulk Hogan. I like that Hulk Hogan's the one that broke your back on that issue. Oh, should have been the Iron Sheik. Anyways, but I hear you. I'm in the same boat on Hulk Hogan. Simon Moody said, where's the Democratic majority for Nepal? So unfair. Yeah, that one doesn't exist. And if you ask mainstream media, neither does Democratic majority for Israel or AIPAC. They have no influence in politics at all. All right, I'm moving. Let's go to Operation Joy comments. This is from tyt.com/joy. There are a couple of offers to us here that I will, I'll comment on in a second. And there's a couple stories I absolutely love in here. All right, so let's start with the one true coffee dragon. There's gonna be a picture involved in a second. Japan has Krampus 2. The traditional end of winter in Japan is celebrated on February 3rd. Family use dried soybeans to drive out demons and bring in good luck. If I've learned nothing else from life this year and K-pop demon hunters, it's that our own biggest weaknesses is the soft spot that the other people use to exploit us. So here's an Operation Joy challenge suggestion. What is the one personal demon you want to defeat this year?
Israel.
That's not your personal demon, that's just a demon.
I don't have demons. I live my life authentically and I tell everyone what I actually think and how I live and what I believe. I've got nothing to hide, which is why I'm so brazen in attacking Israel, because I know how they operate. I've got nothing to hide. So come for me. Okay.
Don't worry, they will, and they have.
And they have. Undefeated though. You want to know why? Because I live a boring life.
Yeah.
And I like my boring life. Anyway, but yeah, we got to defeat Israel. It's like the most important thing in the country.
Okay. Yeah. So not the thrust of the question.
Sorry.
So first, let's show you the picture of the cute kids and doing the Krampus business. Is it Krampus? Krampus? I never knew how to pronounce that. This is when we go, oh.
They're so cute. I mean, obviously I can't see their faces, which is a good thing, but kids are so cute. They're like so full of life and they get excited about things that don't excite us anymore because we're jaded adults.
So I hadn't seen the last line and I find myself unprepared, but I'm gonna think about it as we do this segment because I love that you asked the question. And so I owe you an answer on that, a personal demon that I'm gonna defeat this year. I'm gonna put this aside, come back to it. All right, let's go to Velvet Jones. It's almost skipping down to graphic 5. I had a legit, I'm going to be an awesome dad moment that brought me joy. I've always tried to introduce my daughter to cooking in any way that is safe, especially letting her join me in the kitchen to watch me prepare dinner. She's helped scramble eggs, stir broth, and warm tortillas. For Christmas, my siblings got her an awesome play kitchen, complete with pots, pans, and utensils. Out of pure optimism, I set it up just outside my kitchen in the hope that she'd cook along with me. My wife wasn't sure that it would work, but I wanted to see it through. Tonight, she cooked her own Thai coconut curry chicken alongside me. She stirred, added pretend spices, and smelled the pot with a resounding mmm. She even pretended to taste occasionally. That's right, Morgan always tastes as you go to adjust seasonings. I am so full of joy. And then wait for it, here's the picture. Oh.
Oh my gosh, how adorable. Oh, I love that faucet. Beautiful color.
Okay, Velvet Jones, same exact thing. Okay, except I don't cook. So, but we got my daughter a little set like that when she was about that age, and we got a little bit bigger one later. And you know what? Now she cooks all the time. And she bought a cookbook on her own. I think we paid for it, but she wanted the cookbook, and now she's cooking different things out of the book. I love that, okay? And she's excellent at it, so perfect story. So we'll go back and forth here a little bit. I love the next one. Anna, you got one over there?
Yes, this is from Winter's Scoop, who says, I'm a 100% disabled veteran, and am currently living in an RV. For the past 15 years, I have been a responsible person and not gone in debt with anyone, thus no credit rating. By the way, you're my kind of person. I also try to avoid debt as much as possible. Starting in September, I've been using a credit builder card instead of my debit card and paying it off every night. This month, my credit rating is finally readable at 738. Get it? Get it. And I've learned that the owners of the perfect house for me have actually been waiting for me to have good credit enough to buy their house. I now have a walkthrough appointment scheduled and have signed the realtor contract. I've also found out that disabled veterans don't pay property taxes on their homestead in Texas. That's amazing. Life has been the dumps for years with locked doors everywhere. I found one unlocked window and I'm now sprinting in the sunshine. That makes me so happy. I'm very excited for your home. I can't wait until you're settled. And once you are settled, if it isn't too much trouble, send us a picture. Like, we want to celebrate with you. This is really great. I love that.
All right, great. Before I go to the next one true coffee dragon, I got it. So what personal demon do I want to defeat? Doubt. So you might be surprised by this, but I have a lot of doubt. And so if you watch me on air, or even if you knew me in my personal life, you'd go, Cenk has doubts? No way. I seem confident, right? And I say things in a very declarative fashion, right? But no, doubt is an interesting thing because in a lot of ways it's been my best friend and it's been my worst enemy. So why best friend? Because, well, if you come in thinking that you're absolutely certain about something before you even thought about it, before you analyzed it, how do you know you're right? So if I kind of, this is super goofy and please don't hate me for saying it, but I kind of view myself as a scientist of ideas and thoughts. And I try all sorts of different ideas and thoughts in my head as a scientist would experiment, right? Let's try this, let's try that. And so in order to do that, you have to have tons and tons of doubt. So I wonder if that's true. Well, I don't know, I doubt it. And it doesn't mean that it's not true. I just have a natural skepticism and doubt about any given idea until I've tested it in my head and in the real world multiple times. So you need doubt. I think that's it. Without it, you're certain of things you didn't even analyze. That doesn't make any sense, right? On the other hand, I got to a point where I was swimming in doubt and I had to get out of that, right? Because at some point you need enough confidence to execute things. And I got to a point, this happened largely last year, but there's still remnants of doubt that I got to finish off this year to the point of your question. And I thought, look, I've lived enough, I've learned enough, and I have a sense of what the world is and what the right thing is in order to do in your career, in media, in politics, et cetera, et cetera. And so I had to put doubt aside, and I have begun to put doubt aside because if you have too much of it, it'll haunt you and it'll lead to inaction. So you got to get just the right balance. So that's the demon that I'm fighting. And if you think, well, Cenk, you don't look like you have a lot of doubt on air. That's what I'm telling you, which is that looks can be deceiving. And just because I say something declaratively here doesn't mean that I didn't think it through. In fact, before I told you, I thought it through 20 times, sometimes 200 times. At the end of that, I come to a conclusion and then I declare it boldly on air. But there was a million miles of doubt before then. So again, guys, balance. You need a balance of doubt. Don't let it consume you, and you should definitely have some of it so you challenge your own conceptions too.
So Kofefe writes in and shares something that I find very attractive in people. Especially when my husband does it. So Kofefe, I don't know if you're male or female, I apologize for that, but this is hot. So here's what they write in. Operation Joy, today I rebuked a would-be $850 plumbing bill and installed a new laundry room wash tub. Faucet and drain in under an hour. No leaks yet after 2 loads of laundry. It's weird. hot in here. It's hot in here. I love a handy person.
Yeah, that's not me. So
it's not Christian either. Although he did install our toilet, which he was thanked for that. Okay, let's just put it that way.
Good God bless. All right. It was mighty Christian of you. So, all right, let's go to Django Dragon. They wrote in, want to share my story of joy. My badass wife quit her well-paying job as a software engineer and bought a local mechanic shop. She turned it into an Amco franchise and her stress level dropped almost 90%. She loves riding our motorbikes. She likes fixing both our bikes. I love it when we go on long motorbike rides, both on the road and on the racetrack. She's the most generous and loving person I know, but make no mistake, she can kick some serious ass. I love her, and seeing her start the new year owning her own business gives me enormous joy. Please give my wife Jasmine a shout out. P.S. Anna, I wrote last year that if you and your husband are in New York again, give us a shout. Would love to take you both on motorbike rides here on Long Island. Jen could come too. Love you guys. Okay.
Okay, your wife is amazing. You are amazing for being so supportive of your wife. How much do those franchises cost?
Okay, all right. Don't answer that, okay? All right, so first off, it looks like you're not the only one on Chain Django. So is your wife. So no, seriously, Jasmine, what I love about it is that you took initiative. Like, it sounds like Jasmine is fully in control of her own life.
It takes so much courage to do that.
Yeah.
A tremendous amount of courage, especially when you're like making good money in a career, but you're unhappy. Like, there's a lot of pressure to just kind of stick to it. The fact that she was willing to take a risk, by the way, she wouldn't be, I don't want to say she wouldn't be able to, but she would be less likely to take that risk if she didn't have a supportive husband who had her back.
100%. That was going to be the next thing I said. Django Dragon, you deserve a lot of credit too.
Definitely.
Because I took a similar risk. I started this company 23 years ago, and everyone I knew said, "Don't. Whatever you do, don't do that." Right? So they meant well, but that's what they said. You said go for it, presumably, right? I mean, look at this glowing thing you're writing about your wife, which is awesome. So that doesn't always happen. So way to have her back. Okay, and I love that you guys do the thing that you love together. That's beautiful. I mean, I can't ask for anything better. Me going for a motorcycle ride, no, not gonna happen. So I had enough courage to start this. I've got courage to take on Israel, etc., but not enough courage to go on a motorcycle ride. So it's not for me. It's for other folks.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I used to be against it. Now that I've experienced an electric bike, which I know is a different thing, but it can go pretty fast. The one I have, at least, it's illegal in California. I'm open to it now. It's fun. You feel free. Oh my God, that like the breeze, like you just feel like you're flying. It's such a good feeling. And by the way, I used to be against the bike lanes. Not against the bike lanes anymore. Now I get it. I get it. I get it.
Look at this one.
No, here's what I'm against.
Hypocrisy.
Hold on. Pause.
Come on.
Pause. I am against this. I'm against literally taking a lane away from drivers for bicyclists. I'm against that. I am.
That's what
I'm
a bike
that.
lane is.
No, not necessarily. So the way that they've started implementing bike lanes all throughout LA, I'm sure in some areas they are taking away a lane, which is bad. But from what I have seen, what they'll do is they'll just have like a narrow bike lane where, why are you doing that?
So here's a person, look, it says two different ways that you could look at the same issue, right? I could say, here's a person who until she started biking was against bike lanes.
No, but Jake,
I could say that.
I was against bike lanes because I was under the impression that they were literally going to take car lanes away from drivers and give them to people riding bikes. And in LA, most people don't ride bikes, sorry. So like it was gonna cause a lot of gridlock and a lot of congestion, a lot of problems, but that's not what they've been doing. I think they've actually taken away some street parking, which does kind of suck, but I will allow it.
So until you experienced it, on the other hand, you could look at it as, hey, way to have an open mind. And now that you've had this experience, you now think differently about bike lanes.
Is it an open mind, or is it, let me see how the policy plays out? And then when you see how the policy is implemented and it's actually a good thing, okay, it's a good thing, I will allow it.
You don't think it has anything to do with you biking now?
Oh, it definitely does,
okay,
yeah.
All right.
Okay, but like, I would, even if I had no interest in riding my bike, okay, zero, none, I don't even have a bike, I would not have a problem with the bike lanes in the way they have been implemented. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Okay.
Just don't take the lanes away from the drivers, especially in a place as congested as Los Angeles. Is that a bad take?
I didn't say anything. No, I'm playing around with you. I like busting your chops.
Yeah,
okay.
you're busting them too much right now.
Okay. The person earlier who was like, all right, Jake, this is your favorite topic, keep it short.
Okay, fair. That's fair. I will allow.
No, I get the buzz chops. Okay, sure. Kofefe also wrote in on tyt.com/Choi saying, my joy this week is that I swear I found a new hair growing on my bald head. I'm making a comeback, baby.
That was from last week, no? Okay, so now we know that Kofefe is male.
A man. Right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good for you for supporting Jasmine. I love that.
Okay. No, Django Dragon is supporting Jasmine.
Oh, my bad. I'm mixing people up. My bad.
Okay. Kofefe had the comment there that you read a minute ago.
Right.
And you said, I don't know if you're a man or woman, that's hot. Oh, about the laundry.
Oh yeah, the plumbing.
Okay, so now you got a hair growing back and you're doing the plumbing. Are you kidding me? Kofefe, you're on fire right now.
Yeah, you are. Okay.
Okay, what, you got another one?
I do, I've got a lot of other ones. Okay, let's go to Softball Dragon, who says, who is in charge of today's music break? It is bringing me so much joy today. I am sure those pleasant jazz tunes are not Anna's choice, but I enjoy getting some occasional jazz music. Hold on. There is jazz music I like. It's just, it's gotta have rhyme or reason, okay? Like the jazz where it's like, I don't like that.
Hate it.
It's not for me, it's for other people. I'm not gonna ban it. I'm merciful, right? But look, DJ Bart, he always comes correct with the ones and twos. So I'm not surprised that you like his music because he gets it. He gets it.
DJ Bart, I love it. All right, so look, because of experiences I've had, not just in my life, but what you guys have told me, I'm more open-minded guy now. So I know Jack Callahan, a core member of Operation Hope, loves jazz and he's a musician and he's.
I didn't know he's a musician.
Oh yeah.
He's pretty badass.
No, he's super badass. We read his story one time. I don't know if you were here for it or not, but it's an awesome story. And so, Jack, I get your love for it and I get why people love it, but we also have to acknowledge that different strokes for different folks, right?
I've got a very wide, music selection in my Spotify. Like there's classical music in there, there's even country music in there. There's obviously my favorite genre is probably house. Like there's a lot of house in there. Under a playlist I refer to as running because it's what I listen to when I go for runs. Check it out, follow me on Spotify.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Okay, so
Arabic music. There's even a Turkish artist that I just discovered who's amazing. I'm obsessed with her. I'm all over the place with my music, okay?
Oh, you should see my collection. It's a mess. But anyways, so a couple of things on that real quick. So for people who love music, most of the time they like jazz even more, right? Because they like people improvising and having fun with it and making the music their own. So I get it. But for me, it sounds chaotic, to Anna's point.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on, and I'm not a music person. I'm not inclined in that way, so I just hear kind of a little bit of noise. Don't hate me, okay? So, and I feel that way about a couple of different forms of art. But on the other hand, when I go to a museum, everybody in my family knows this, I'm the most reluctant to go, and I'm the last one out. Right? They're like, Chick, we gotta go. No, hold on, I'm reading about the exhibit. Are you crazy? We came here, I'm not gonna find out what the art's about, I gotta find out, right? So, and my son went to a museum, or my family did. I couldn't go because I was working, but my sister took them this weekend. My sister's obsessed with museums, and she's an expert on it, and PhD in art history, etc. But she took them to an exhibit and she's like, oh, what do you guys like about it? And a lot of the kids were like, oh, I like the fruit, I like the oranges. And Pro was like, I like the way that art about Kismet reflects off the water. And
your son's amazing. Your son is legitimately amazing. He is such a good kid.
Yeah, so he doesn't want to go either, but when he goes, he makes these interesting observations. There was more to that story, and I don't want to brag too much about
deep. Like that's what I love about him. Like he's got a kind heart. He's special. He is.
Yeah, so I guess my point is, even though I'm not artistically or musically inclined, I try real hard to keep an open mind. And I try to see it through your guys' eyes and why you love jazz. And I'll give you one last example. For moviegoers, for movie buffs like Bart and Ben and et cetera, and I'm not speaking for him in this particular thing, but like when you do one long shot in movies like Birdman, Adolescence was a Netflix show that had one giant shot without a cut. The movie lovers love that. They're like, oh, that's amazing. How did he do that?
It's impressive.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
I find it incredibly dull.
No, I mean, look, movie buffs love it because think about a feature-length film and think about how you literally, I can curse, right? I just want to double check before I do it.
Oh yeah, I think no?
Okay, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. Not gonna curse. Okay.
We could do it on Old School because that's just for members only when it's live. So, okay.
So like with a feature-length film where you're trying to get it all in one continuous shot, no one can F up. No one can F up. You F up, that's it. You gotta start all over again. Imagine you're at the very end, you can see the finish line, and then someone messes up their line.
Yeah, I get it, and I'm trying to enjoy it.
I'm impressed by it.
I'm theoretically impressed by it, but I am in the real world bored by it. So anyway, but my point is to each his own, okay?
I think it's because you're not in that craft, like you don't do that craft. You know what I mean? Like think about what we do.
It's not my drug.
It's not, no, it's not. Like think about the most impressive thing that we managed to. Okay, let's just move on.
No, but no, game recognizes game. So, and I'll give a funny example of it, but a lot of poetry tries too hard, but when a poem gets it right, it's perfect, right? And I love it. Why? Because it's wordplay. It's playing around with words and making art out of words. That I appreciate because of what I do and what I'm more inclined towards, right? So, and I've said this before, my favorite poem is If. I think it is a perfect poem. And there's a bunch of poems out there that I'm like, that's gorgeous, right? So everybody's got their own drug and their own thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Like I get turned on by plumbing, like come on.
I know, right? I mean, you want to talk about, everybody's got their own drug. That is
or
not. Or
lumberjacks.
Lumberjacks.
Have you seen a lumberjack before? Doing what they do with the wood. It's so hot. God.
Well, my nephew's a sawyer.
I don't know what that is. What is that?
Sawyer is someone who is a professional at cutting down trees in the forest.
Oh, okay.
So kind of another word for lumberjack.
I like people who work with their hands, you know?
Yeah, no, I'm not that guy. I work with my mouth.
Oh no. Oh no, oh no, oh no, why would you do that though? Oh no.
Did it on purpose. All right, here we go. How dare you give me hope says, my first time here, I can see why Cenk started this, referring to tyt.com/joy. This is so joyous. I might inject some hope into my very pessimistic heart. Okay.
It works for me, and I have a pessimistic heart for sure.
I mean, if we can get this black pillar over here to have a good time in Operation Joy, then it could win over any heart. All right, go ahead. You go.
Yes. Okay. So we've got Disruptor Puss, who says, when I started making empathy my criteria, I ended up with friends in both parties. Same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm, as I said earlier, I don't want to get too dark here, but I'm trying to have empathy for even people who attack me, right?
Yeah.
And even people who lie about me. I'm like, okay. Or especially, no, I can't do it. Not the people who actually do the lying, but the people who believed it. Because what do they know? Like, okay, they got told something, they got misled. So all right, even if you hate me because you heard something about me that isn't true, I mean, welcome to the club, right? I've got, unfortunately, maybe even millions of people who believe things about me that aren't true, right? So, all right. I pardon you.
Yeah, look, the way I look at it is, I'm not thinking about them at all, right? Like, there's so much to do, and like so much that I want to accomplish on a daily basis, where it's like focusing so much on what other people are saying and how they're attacked. Like, who cares? Whatever. Like, let's move on. I've got other things to do.
Yeah. All right, so speaking of which, let's go to Michael Prestano. He says, this won't sound like joy in the beginning, but bear with me. There's this house I drive by every once in a while, and the owner is clearly MAGA, because every time I'd pass by it, there'd be a new ridiculous pro-Trump sign nailed proudly to his tree right next to a bench painted like an American flag. Although I like the bench idea. Anyway, this has been going on since 2015. They might have been even been hand painted. Back then it made me so angry and I wanted to tear them down or defile them. And don't worry, I never did. I like the idea of defiling though. It's a fun word. Anyways, I'm glad you didn't do it. They continue, but over time I loosened up and it actually became amusing to me. There you go. But here's the interesting part. I drove by that house yesterday and for the first time in over 10 years, there was no sign, none. I was shocked. I know this is the single most anecdotal piece of evidence you've ever heard, but I think MAGA is finally starting to feel uncomfortable with Trump. Seeing evidence of that brings me joy. So Michael, right there with you, brother. I'm getting reports from the field of people tearing up their Trump signs. So that Epstein thing did some, not just did, but continues to do massive damage. And it's not because Trump is in the files. He's such a knucklehead, he could have survived that. It's that he pretended that the files weren't real and he tried to cover them up. That was the betrayal, because that is saying to his voters, I never meant it. I was a fraud and a phony like the rest of them. So they were looking for someone who was authentic, and because Trump just says what's on the top of his mind, it had the air of authenticity, right? Even though everything he was saying was not true, it felt authentic. But now that they woke up and they realized, oh, he was trying to cover up all these elites just like everybody else was. And it turns out he's in them. And he's among the people who did these things. And so he at least certainly knew about it. And it was an aha moment for a lot of folks. And so now that they've had that moment, that's why I keep saying, please welcome them in. They didn't like, if they already knew what we knew, they wouldn't have supported him. And you see that in their actions today.
So Lady AF, I think, perfectly describes kind of where I'm at. And it took a lot of hard work to get to where I am mentally in regard to ordinary people, right? So she says, we love each other better. That's the solution. Steadfast commitment to love and peace strengthens and heals our nation. And guys, loving people who already agree with you is easy. Having empathy toward people who disagree with you and keeping that line of communication open is much more challenging, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it, it's much more rewarding. Right? And so if you vehemently disagree with someone on whatever, some political issue, name whatever it is, but you're willing to sit down, have good faith discussions and debates and still keep that person in your life, whether they're your friend, family member, or whatever, I do think you help in your own way bring the country together, right? Because right now, the hate is festering, the polarization is festering, even though most Americans actually do agree on a lot of issues. And that hatred is by design, right? It's been, we've been programmed to think that way. Because again, if ordinary people are fighting each other over disagreements, well then the robbery continues with the various parasites in government. Anyway.
So last thing for me. So to Anna's point, I'm trying to be more open-hearted about those folks that I've been talking about. And so for example, some people say, and they've been saying it to me in the last week as well, not just generally, but very specifically now, don't talk to people on the right. And if you do, like Tucker Carlson, you're a bad person. And I don't wanna listen to it. I don't care what's in it. I don't care what if he agrees with everything you're saying from the left wing. I hate him, and if you talk to him, I hate you, right? Well, that's okay. So I think that that's not the correct position, right? But I get that you're frustrated. I get that you're angry. And I get that you want to take out that frustration on someone. And if it seems like someone is talking to the right wing, you've been trained to believe, and by the way, partly by us too, right? Like, so everything we're saying, I'll speak for myself, I've been guilty of in the past, right?
Totally, me too, obviously.
Yeah, so I understand that reaction, that natural instinct or reaction and revulsion, but he said all these terrible things, etc. But I'm gonna get past it in terms of talking to those people anyway, because it's the right thing to do. But I'm also gonna get past being angry at people yelling at me about it. Okay, I get it. That's where you are today. Yeah. I hope you get past it, because we need as many folks as possible to be open to the Trump voters who now are considering voting on our side. I hope that enough of us get there so they see us as welcoming and not drive them away to someone else, right? And to another, fake populist or whatever it might be. But I am curious what you guys think though. So I don't know if we have it on TYT.com/press yet. I'm sure we'll have it by tomorrow, but you could also just look it up on YouTube. Because if you look at the comment section on Tucker's video, independents, there's some left in there, but a lot of right wing, right? And they absolutely loved it, and I didn't say a single thing that was right wing. And so I'm curious what some of your take is, because I trust you guys, right? So are you? And so I'm not saying go do a homework assignment. It's 2.5 hours, right? But if you happen to watch it, I don't know, write in or something, and on when we do the show together. So I'm gonna do a quick trip here, so there's been no old school tonight. But I'll be back by Thursday when I'm normally on the show. I don't know, write in and tell me what you guys thought of it, because almost no one on the left is saying anything about it. Maybe because people on the left are like, no, it's Tucker, I'm just never gonna watch it, right? And then of course there's the usual folks who are like, oh my God, he talked to him, he's evil, right? So I don't need those guys. But anyways, I'm just genuinely curious what you guys thought of it, and because several times Tucker said, you guys were right. Most importantly to me, very early on, about war and anti-war, and I said, we've had this position for the last 20 years, and he said something along the lines of, I'm sorry I didn't, right? And he's there now. God, if folks can't accept at least that portion of it, we're never gonna be able to grow, right? So anyway, I'm eyes wide open. I got plenty of skepticism for everyone, right? But anyway, like I said, I'm curious about it. And even if you hate it, I'm not gonna hate you. So don't worry, it's okay. And I love this community. So thank you for doing this. Thank you for writing in like you do. And last shout out goes to One True Coffee Dragon. Thank you for asking a question of us and of everyone and of the community and getting us to think about it. That was beautiful, right? Got any last things, Anna?
No, we're out of time.
Yeah, we're way out of time. All right, guys, much love. Anna's gonna see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
I was valedictorian in college.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.